Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain tonight. We gonna let it rain tonight. We gonna let it rain just like the sunrise. We gonna let it rain. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain tonight. We gonna let it rain tonight. We gonna let it rain just like the sunrise. We gonna let it rain. Oh, you make me wanna talk back to you. Say it like that. If I hate you, then find someone new. Baby, but you know I never will. No, so I choke you down just like a pill. Oh yeah. Take you like a pill. Am I fill you like a pill to get my fill. No, do me in the worst way.
You're bringing us in?
Yep.
Don't let me sleep.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back again to CR6. We have a fantastic matchup for you tonight. Have you ever wanted to see a civil war? No, not that one. Another civil war, one much more friendly between Georgia and Georgia's colleges. Today we have Kennesaw versus UGA, and with me is Keglanek, and we have the wonderful and beautiful Sticula.
Really excited to get into collegiate casting. Obviously, this being my first game, period, aside from a very long time ago, which I'm sure none of my current following will remember. But as you mentioned, we've got both of the Georgian teams here, and I'm excited to see how the Civil War, as you mentioned, will pan out. and we can take a quick look at our map bands to get an idea for where we'll be heading.
Well, it's definitely an interesting map ban to say the very least. I'm taking a quick look right now, and we did see Kennesaw right off the rip take down Consulate. I can't say I blame them. Georgia, of course, returning fire and taking down Clubhouse in return. And I think you should be able to tell us what the first pick is, Stick.
We've got Cafe, one of the most
Oh,
boring, unfortunately, maps because teams just love to play it constantly. And I'm one big thing that I'm interested to look at here is what the collegiate map pool is like compared to what I might more traditionally see from the T4, T3 leagues that I frequent.
the only thing I've really noticed when it comes to more collegiate matches is that there's a slightly more higher chance of getting a coastline match. And spoiler alert, the decider map is going to be coastline. The middle map, though, the second one that we will be going to right after Cafe, map number 2, being guaranteed, will be Oregon, which is yet again, like you mentioned, Sticka, much more boring map yet again. We've seen these so many times before, but the real juicy one, the real cream of the crop is going to be coastline. But that's only going to happen if Kennesaw can win a map and University of Georgia can strike back and get one themselves.
And honestly, if I'm coming into this game just from purely what I've seen and what these two teams have told me, I think we might be able to see UGA take a 2-0 victory here. They've got the experience on their side, but the big thing to look at is if we see University of Georgia get tilted, then I think that's when KSU are going to get the upper hand. And KSU, frankly, they're planning on that. That's what they told me. The main objective is to try and just play their own game for map one and get UGA into that poor mind space where they're able to ultimately capitalize on it.
There's so many things involved with Rainbow Six and esports in general. You can always win the map, you can always win the bomb sites. All that fun stuff, of course, is visible on the screen. What we don't see and what is inherently inside of all competitive players is the mental aspect that we seldom really see, visibly, and that's usually when they smash their keyboards or something. But I doubt we're going to see that tonight. Hopefully. It's more on the inside of the player and them almost slowly shutting down if they can't make those plays or they start losing multiple rounds in a row. It's going to be up to their mental fortitude to see if they can bring it back and make sure that, hey, that's not going to happen to us and that we can stand toe to toe, either Kennesaw to Georgia or Georgia to Kennesaw. And Stick, I believe you mentioned in the pre show too that there's actually a lot of, quite literally this time, alum from Georgia's side.
Right, yeah, they've got a couple of players who have moved on to doing some better, brighter things, and specifically not loading. A player you'll know from the Canadian Pro League now plays for Mirage, which is frankly the top team in, I would say, all of Canada. And you'll
Oh, yeah.
remember recently they gave Sonics a close call in the playoffs there, and they're not a team you want to write off. Neither is University of Georgia.
Absolutely not. And I believe it's Georgia who have been practicing quite a bit against Mirage as well, time again, being able to make that work out pretty well. So if they can continue that fortitude and making sure those practices do pay off nice and handy, Kennesaw might be in a little bit of trouble, especially like you said, that 2-0 is a very real possibility.
We could take a more statistical look over towards the map bans. I've got a bit of data as far as what we've seen from Kennesaw, but unfortunately, the University of Georgia, they actually had a forfeit win, I believe, in the first week, so nothing to see from them yet. But on the side of KSU, they have played Cafe, our very first map here, and the University of Kentucky actually gave them quite a bit of a scare, taking them all the way to overtime. And whipping out the Monty ban was ultimately, I think, what saved them in that game, because when we saw in the second series of that matchup on Oregon, it was just Monty all the way, just moving, sweeping across the map from Kentucky with the Monty shield play so well. And that's one thing University of Georgia also does quite a bit, and they mentioned the shield usage. So I could very well see here from Kennesaw going over towards a Monty ban. And I think the big thing for Georgia is Kennesaw, they could ban Monty all they want, but University of Georgia, they don't focus entirely on that. And I think that's really a big sticking point as far as them being really dynamic.
Dynamacy, I think that's a word, is really important when it comes to Siege, especially in this season where it seems like the meta's still kind of all over the place. Don't get me wrong, the meta, of course, is all about explosions and making sure those Jaeger ADSs or those Wamai discs are out of commission, but operators like Monty, now with that secondary heart breach gadget, will really give a lot of defending teams a run for their money. We will be seeing Cafe, and while the secondary gadget may not be the most useful on that map, Monty himself can be definitely useful when it comes to sites like bakery or even bar and cocktail.
One thing I'd like to note about Coastline as our decider, I would honestly say Kennesaw, if they can get at least one win, once they move over to that decider map, I think they have the best shot of closing it out there because Coastline, I wouldn't say is Georgia's best map, and especially when you put that kind of in the prism of how poor Georgia's game is for Consulate. They really do not have too good of a handle on that kind of kill box style map, and Coastline definitely also plays into that. But Georgia, I think, are, as you mentioned, as I talked about, how dynamic they are. It could be honestly an on and off game. We could see them show up and have a really good coastline, or we could just see Kennesaw go crazy and trounce them.
It quite literally makes it a deciding map. It really goes down to whether or not we not only will see coastline, but also if that coastline map will be in the benefit of UGA or if Kennesaw can bring it home in a 2-1 victory. But we are getting a little ahead of ourselves. We have everyone in the lobby now. It looks like we're just about ready to get the map started. Going to cafe. Let's hear your predictions really quick. Let's hear your predictions really quick about what operator bands you think we're going to see. You did mention Monty, but there's three others that could
Hmm.
fill those slots.
So, yeah, the Monty is, I would say, kind of a 50-50. You're definitely, though, going to see at least the Thatcher ban. Kennesaw, they've put some stock in banning the Thatcher in Games Pass, but also I think Georgia probably could use that maybe a bit in their favor. I know they're practiced well both with the Thatcher and without it, so there's kind of a choice to be made there. As far as if we don't see the shield ban from Kennesaw, however, they might try to go for maybe Ace ban. I know that removing that new hard breacher can be a bit of an unstable factor. And as far as the defensive bans, probably going to see a Mira. Kennesaw, they've banned Mira in all three of their maps so far this season. And maybe Georgia could take some initiative on that front as well. Also, probably a safe bet to call something in terms of intel, so that it would be either your Echo, Maestro, or maybe a Valkyrie in terms of runouts. I mean, Valkyrie has really come into the fold recently.
Yeah, Valkyrie is becoming a much more common band pick quite a bit. It depends on the map, not so much Cafe most of the time. Sometimes we do see a Valkyrie ban. Mostly comes down to maps like Villa and Coastline where we see a lot of Valkyrie. Way back when Border was still in the game or still in competitive map pool, we did see her banned quite a bit on Border as well. But it looks like we're just about ready to get started on map number one. Going to be Cafe Dostoevsky versus Kennesaw State and the University of Georgia. Here we go. Let's see if those operator band picks predictions were right, Stick. I'm curious to see how correct and how right on the money you were. Honestly, though, I could give my own predictions, but I pretty much agree with everything you said. I think the ace pick could be really interesting to see. It's a matter of whether or not they're going to go for the ace pick or if they go for a hard breacher in general. It's not uncommon to see all the hard breachers completely fine and on the map when it comes to cafe because there's only a very few certain spots where a hard breacher is completely necessary.
Right, and I think it's kind of up to the teams as far as sort of what their comfortabilities are, and we'll see the Thatcher ban as predicted. Honestly, it doesn't really matter which teams are coming into this, just so long as it's actually a comp match. You can put a lot of money on that Thatcher ban because it is just oh so common in the Monty ban as
Oh.
well. So, two for the money so far. Removing that shield operator, one less big consideration for Kennesaw, and so limiting that does affect UGA a bit. If we see them struggle maybe a bit with trying to get on into kind of taking map control itself, I think that's when the Monty is definitely the best because you could just push through and kind of ignore everything. We'll see the Echo, or rather the Mira ban as well. Getting ahead of myself, maybe I've just revealed the final operator ban, but
It's
removing the
operating the
Mira, yeah, removing Mira, I mean, she just has so much effectiveness with the windows. You can just place them everywhere you feel like in the Echo ban as well. So 4 for 4 for me, impersonating Hap on the cast.
Absolutely. You two have some of the biggest brains when it comes to North American, or I suppose North American and EU Siege. Now let's see if those operator bans are going to ultimately make a difference in the very end. Kennesaw did ban out Monty and Mira. Normally could be somewhat unconventional bans, especially the Monty pick, but it is, of course, a target ban against UGA. But let's see if that's really going to make a difference in the end here. Kennesaw did set up everything, but it's going to be up to UGA to play around what could have been a pretty predictable ban rate of themselves, so they might be able to already have a counter strat in mind. Already in Fireplace and Reading Room, we do see a very mobile defense without the, sorry, except for the Maestro, who is on the 1 speed 3 armor. Otherwise, we do see that Valkyrie coming out and the rest of them. plenty of C4s and plenty of potential for transversing around the map.
And that's one of the big things here for UGA. They love their nitros, they love their impacts and their frag grenades. And if you give them those opportunities, especially when we're talking about defending both the first floor as well as reading
Attackers
dining,
need to
you're really
locate
going to
and
have to
defuse
worry
as many
about those
bombs as they
constantly.
can.
And especially considering we're going to reading and dining itself first. Defending the top floor is definitely a big focus here for UGA. If they can slow things down and force Kennesaw to take the long route, I think that's when they'll have the most success, and especially the long route in
Attackers have
terms of
located
having
a
that
bomb.
Malusi, all of those nice wub-wubs to slow you down.
Yes, level catch up. I'm going to be very curious to see how that's going to play out here. Of course, Lucy is almost like a 100% pick rate, and pretty much any league that you watch,
10 seconds
it's a
remaining.
matter of how it's used and where those banshees ultimately end up. We did see
5
one
seconds
banshee
left before
towards the
insertion.
baseline of White Stairs on that landing area between the second and third
Attackers
floors.
are heading out to defuse
But
a
is
bomb.
that really going to be effective when it comes to the top level floor? Usually for the attackers, we do see a top down approach rather than a bottom up. But maybe again, this is part of all the analyst features that we did see UGA bring out. But here we go. We do see that top down attack approaching, it seems, right away. We do see them going to the top of the roof. Nothing really standing in the way except for possibly the Zofia looking down and mining where the Malusi's ending up.
Maybe that's her trying to prepare for the inevitable. Another thing to talk about is the fact that we don't see Ace having any presence in the operator bans, but he does get some in terms of picks. Jaeger, it seems, will be making his attempt. Casanova chilling out just next to the toilet here in the bathroom. He gets droned out, and this looks like just a really fast take. Kennesaw, they know what they want to clear, and they're being really, really affirmative with all of these drone placements. This is good from them, but we need to see them not only get these drones and get the positions with them, we also need to see them move in and sweep control for the top floor. This is so close to an engagement here between Stakes and Casanova, if he knows it or not. Trying to peek, and he spots the head of the Jaeger. Might see a repeat here. Could be close to the first engagement. The frag grenade cooked, tossed out, but ultimately the Jaeger catches him. In the meanwhile, going down to the frag grenade, and looks like smack with one of his own onto Manly Banana. So starting out pretty well for KSU.
Starting very well indeed, already losing out on the Jaeger and the Maestro. You lose out on probably your best roamer and your best and really only anchor on the defensive side. It's already becoming a rough round for UGA as we're starting off, already having the top floor completely cleared on the side of the defense. It's going to be the top of the cafe, cleared out, and only losing on one body in general. It's going to be the sledge that goes down, but you still have so much intel
bomb has been
on the likes of Mango and, of course, Exarin taking down Juan as well. That's going to be yet another body on the floor for UGA's side. Down to a 2v4, not the position you want to be in, with Banshee still alive, it seems, on the floor. Wolfie does find the cool, but is that going to be enough? The answer is surprisingly yes. It's going to be Mango that goes down, two down to just a soft breach and a hard breach. The Zofia good in just about every situation, and the Ace already finding that bomb.
This barricade really causing some problems here. Wolfie can't rotate in without shooting it down and making a bit more noise, and X will definitely be aware of that. So far, it's a creep around here. Smack might look to engage with Valkyrie on Pillar, and even though he goes down, he lands the crack headshot, and he will be able to pick himself up, but the Ace cleans things up, and Kennesaw had a bit of a trouble there, scared in the mid-round, but ultimately that post-plant working out well in their favor.
There was a great double kill in the middle of that round, but unfortunately, it was just a little bit too little for UGA to really bring it home. But Kennesaw did recuperate that really nice, pretty much having no real protection. It was Exarin who went down and got that plan, while Smack was a little hidden away, had some fortitude for defense. But it was pretty much down to just really nice timing and really good positioning for everybody on the attacking side, where we did see a little bit of struggle coming out, especially from Wolfie, trying to get that headshot through the barricade, almost having it directly on point, except that wardrobe got in the way. But I cannot talk today. We are returning to Reading Room once again. It's going to be take two, see if things do go down differently for UGA side, but we're seeing the same exact operator pools on both sides. Stick, I'm not really sure if this is going to be the move that UGA wants to make.
Defenders, protect
Hard
your
to
bombs from
say,
being
but
defused
one
by
part
attackers.
of the defense that I kind of wanted to pick apart was the fact that some players, it seemed, were overcommitted, trying to take too many engagements, and some of the other players for UGA seemed almost a bit hesitant. I mean, Valkyrie, it seems she had a clear opportunity. I don't know if they had intel that I believe it was maybe Zofia inside of dining room. I don't know if they knew they were split up, but Valkyrie should have, after seeing that she couldn't possibly connect that shot on the wallbang, she should have torn down that barricade with her bullets and charged in sight to at least make some attempt to deny the plant, because you and me both know how powerful a post plant is, especially on a defender-sided map like Cafe. Things really flip around once you get that diffuser.
Absolutely. I'm surprised we didn't see much more coordination coming up from the defense either. You could have peeked that original angle, swerve around maybe to the hallway, try to get a different angle in the post-plant situation, but unfortunately, neither of those circumstances really worked out for UGA side. We are returning again, though, to reading and dining once again, and from the looks of it, we're not really seeing the positions of Georgia's side being too much different from what I saw. We do see the Jaeger down on the second floor, but it looks like he's rotating around, not quite the second floor, but watching the landing, kind of a floor and a half above the ground, where the Malusi is still going to be in train. Now, if you remember from the last round, we did see some early possible engagements coming from that second floor. The Zofia smash looking around to see if they could find those early kills, but again, like round one, not able to do so. A big difference this time is that we do see someone, I believe it's going to be Juan, inside of the bathroom, leaping out already. And Stick, I'm curious to see if that mute's going to rotate off, if he gets pressured enough.
What I'm wondering here is if he has to rotate through into Deep Freezer, because I think that would allow him to position himself much better. He can continually contest this and ultimately fall back, and we'll see that explosive play finally come through in their favor, but instantly traded back. Mango shutting down Juan, so not much of an opportunity for him to play that bathroom pixel position. And ultimately, it seems like, once again, KSU are taking a strong hold of this top floor and forcing what's left from the University of Georgia to rotate back down, though Maestro seems keen to at least make some effort to continuing to hold it. I don't know how Casanova has gotten into this position, but he's credited with 2 picks, shutting down the Nomad and the Ace here. Unfortunate. KSU rather, just really kicking it off, trying to trade it back. You will actually get 2, so Zofia coming up big for her team in that hour of need. With a minute and 5 seconds here, this looks like the play to claw things back maybe just worked out for them.
Returning again to a 2v2, Wolfie and I am throwing once again the last 2 alive to clutch out a round. Now, if you remember from last round, we did see the 4v2 where Wolfie did get a double kill, ending up nearly winning the round for UGA side, but instead this time it's going to be the Valkyrie push towards the killer. Any rotation she goes through will end in her death. That's going to be Mango going James Bond style down the banister, ending her life. Down to the Malusi now, throwing, looking around to see. He knows pretty much approximately where those last 2 attackers are. It's a matter of whether they can deny the plant or if they can get those those late last round kills. Throwing right now, gonna be approaching the same exact banister that Wolfie struggled so much, not even a few minutes ago, but that plant is gonna go down once again, this time in a different spot. But this is gonna put throwing in a very weird position. They could rotate around like they should have last round, but no, instead they push through like Singula suggested, getting 1, and will they get 2? That's the $1 million question, but no, the reload into the pistol. Not gonna work out there. Kennesaw stringing together 2 rounds in a row. Sticula, you were right that it ended in the downfall of Throwing's life.
Well, a 2-on-1 is not exactly fair, and when your teammate is dead, there's only so much you can do, and even though switching to your secondary is faster than reloading, ultimately, the G8 is just such a beast of an LMG, and its bullets spraying through the mid-sight ultimately will find KSU their 2nd consecutive round here, and this is a great start for them on Cafe, which can be a big struggle to take these attacking rounds, especially for the mid-floor site. I know a lot of people like to put stock on the top floor bomb as maybe the best one, but I've heard evidence and cases made for the mid-floor side is the best, and especially considering, KSU's dominance, maybe I'm wrong there. UGA, they really need to start getting things back in order. They started that last round off so well with a wonderful Nitro Cell kill, but ultimately it just seemed like things got really cluttered really quick.
I think regardless of what site you think is the best, So we know it's always going to be the less side. It's going to be reading and dining is the most weirdest site to not only defend but also attack. There's so many different philosophies and pretty much worlds of thought that you could bring into it, but when it comes down to it, usually the attackers don't really end up winning it. I suppose it could be 50-50, but in this case, trying to throw off Kennesaw in the first round didn't quite work, and stringing it to a second one only led more to the bleeding on UGA's end. Round number 3, no, going to be going to Kitchen this time. It looks like the tertiary site this time around for UGA's defense will be Bar and Cocktail, and to that I'm not terribly surprised, but going to Kitchen this time, there's going to be a lot of emphasis on the vertical play. Now, the vertical play, always important. Opening up the freezer a little bit, also important as well, because you don't want that defense to get clubbed like it did for the last 2 rounds before.
ASU attempting what seems to be at least confronting the bakery, though we have, I think, somebody playing behind the bar, so that will be a major obstacle, and somebody holding close inside kitchen prep, so UGA are not really moving too fast to get or to lose control of this, and it's probably the smart move here. It's an aggressive position here. I think that will be I Am Throwing, playing on the Wamai behind the bakery bar, and the rest of the attackers are attempting at least to go for a bit of a middle floor take. An aggressive peek here. I believe that is Juan. Maybe he's going to find a bit of an opportunity for himself. Possibly a run out in the cards. Maybe we'll see him get a bit risky there. But ultimately, I think right now, mostly control been faded. Trying to thread the needle there. Gibbs McCool, the perfect opportunity to tap that head. And the AK ultimately prevails in that gunfight once more. Kennesaw, they take the opening pick.
Very aggressive peek coming out from I Am Throwing. They get punished accordingly, of course, and that's going to be complete agency for the attackers to have in Bakery. Now, we do see the Bandit inside Closet right now. Maybe going for an engagement, but if that Bandit can land even a single kill, especially onto the Nomad, the cool being the flank will be extremely important. But it looks like no, it's a standoff between the 2 different bodies. Only one can go down, but one also has an ACOG. But here's the thing. Other party does have a 7, but instead there's going to be an engagement going in between Juan, and I'm not entirely sure who the other one is. I believe it's going to be Mango on the second floor, running away for dear life if you want to see in your upper left corner, but no, through the holes instead. It's going to be someone trying to catch out the other one, but it's a game of cat and mouse. Juan does ultimately fall, however, the golden fangs of Mango not able to sink their teeth into that dying body, but Smack does find Wolfie off screen. A 2v5, once again, a very familiar story we have seen so far on the day. Going to be down to not just 2, but now down to 1. Man Banana, who hasn't been in this game so far, going to be trying to find out what he can do, but unfortunately, he does find 1, but so far he's in his lonesome. Vertical plays and horizontal in full effect. He does find a double kill for Manly Banana, but he is still on Uncle Buzz. He does have the diffuser, but can he hold him down for 25 more seconds? The answer going to be no. Kennesaw 3 in a row now, and despite all the scrimming you might do with Canadian pro teams, it just shows that you got to win a game of Cafe, or maybe you can start clumping that around.
Unfortunate. I was going to try to talk about UGA, but they just seem really shaky. Even looking at Jaeger, he was hesitant. He didn't know which angle he was trying to take. And I mean, I'll cut him a bit of slack. You know, you're probably not going to win that one on 5. But ultimately, UGA, they need to find something. They need some more teamwork. That coordination is just not working for them. And the brand new, only 3-week-old Kennesaw State is making them just work for it so far. And with 3 attacker wins, as you mentioned, the 3-0, Kennesaw have got all that's necessary for this first split and more.
I want to give props to McCool for holding on to these really passive angles like we saw on Mini, holding down, I believe it was Casanova in the previous round, in Closet. Now, any other aggressive attacker could have easily pushed Closet, a very bad mistake, and Casanova would have gotten the kill. But instead, and I'm not sure if the air jabs did go down, I couldn't quite see them on the screen, but you know, if those were in play, having a very passive flanker, always great to see. Now, interesting to note here, excuse me, is that we are seeing, oh wow,
5 seconds
that
to insertion.
PHT is really hitting me. But no, when we do see not opening up freezer
Attackers are
walls,
heading
not
out
going
to
to give
defuse
much
the bomb.
agency to the northern side of the map, rather not having any roamers whatsoever, rather at all. having any sort of credence to defend or really anything on the northern side. In fact, it's being completely neglected. Most of the defenders actually just going to be on site minus Casanova and Luigi.
So really a light presence for roaming here. I am struggling to kind of diagnose UGA's issue because it seems like in every round there's kind of some new thing that props up, and you know, credit to them for at least having kind of the confidence to reattempt this bomb site and maybe say, okay, let's address the problems, whatever they may be, and try to find a solution to them. But so far, it just seems like a combination of both them giving up too much control or doing the exact opposite and trying to hold on to what you shouldn't be. A great pick there. Throwing, starting it off well, removing Zofia. Your lifelines are gone, and that's a good key chunky utility, as well as just such a strong gun. But the IQ getting the trade as she moves down the red stairs. Ultimately, maybe that was a bit of a risk. You lose the Cade in terms of, you know, that TCSG. You got the Nitro as well, which is explosives, a big focus for UGA. But I think the time game so far is working out a little bit in their favor. We need to see them, however, get this consistent respondent kill.
It's definitely a huge trade-off for both teams. Removing, by the way, all the ADSs and just straight-up utility everywhere on Bakery. Kudos to Extrin right there, but losing a Kaid versus a Zofia, I think you could really have up to debate whether or not you want to lose one or the other. Losing out on both teams is a struggle, and Mango stringing together 2 kills, finding Casanova. Looks like that smooth talking bandit's not going to find another one here, but throwing does trade it back yet again. We haven't seen a single instance in this round where Kennesaw are able to get a kill without another team stringing together the refrag. Immediately, each time we do see one go after another, and then we have a bit of a lull in the later half of the round. See Mango barely skate on by with those bullets coming close to their head, but McCool off the screen does find Manly Banana. Mango, of course, still going to be in that very awkward position again, but it's going to be, I believe, one holding the end of that hallway. As soon as they walk away, it's going to be that Malusi able to find the kill, but watch out, the immediate retrade has been there almost always unequivocally.
A great nitro cell, and Cool just continues stacking bodies, though he's cut down on a great long angle, throwing on a triple kill. What a great shot to find the quad in UGA. They're finally able to take the round off the back of a great performance from throwing.
Fantastic work overall, just being able to string together those rounds, and it was really that late game defensiveness that we saw coming out from I'm Throwing that really set them above and beyond. We did see other people like Manly Banana attempt to do something similar, but in a 1v, I believe, 3 situation, it's definitely a lot harder to do something like that than a 1v1. And that's exactly what we saw at the very end, trades going back and forth. You are seeing UGA able to warm up more and adapt around the playstyle of Kennesaw, with at least getting those trades out when they matter, but even then, they barely got by that last round with the skin of their teeth.
Well, it seems UGA are making their best attempt to put up kind of an early round facade so long. You mentioned how kind of as soon as we see that opening kill, and then it gets traded back, and then it's just kind of a snooze fest. It's just a mid-round lull every single time. Maybe that's UGA trying to play this really stock standard, trying to burn the clock, which is, it could be a good attribute. But the problem is sometimes they'll burn the clock and then Kennesaw is just able to immediately kind of barter with that in terms of just getting kills. And you can burn the clock for all you want, but eventually you're just going to have to deal with the fact that KSU, they're at the gates and they're ready to rip into the bomb site. And now heading up to the top floor for the very first time, that will be more than evident with how constrained this top floor can definitely be.
Now, with the attacks we've seen KSU go for so far, it hasn't really been that crazy. The unique spawn apparently is off, which is interesting in and of itself, but when it comes down to it, Kennesaw hasn't really been going for crazy attacking strats. They form together, they're very uniformed, and they're able to really just go for the most, no, not the most basic attacking strategies, but they're able to form up into themselves and go for very well-known strategies. Now, we do see Pixel being attacked a little bit right there by Smack, but unfortunately not going to find anybody right away. but that is okay. The top-down attacking prowess that we usually see is usually pretty effective. Edison, of course, going to be running the ace, which will make things a little bit easier to take over Cigar, depending on who is at Pixel and whether or not that will affect them. I am throwing, of course, the Wamai going to be having the discs there. Of course, ADS is there as well. Might be able to stop those Selmas, but no, the frag grenade immediately going down. States walking, oh no, I'm sorry, Manly Banana walking straight into it. That is going to be the mute off the board right off the rip. Definitely someone that usually ends up being a huge anchor towards the end of a bar round. No longer going to be in play, and Stick, that is a huge loss in the beginning of round 5.
Catching projectiles.
Especially considering with his death, now that basically forfeits control of not only Red Drop, but also talking about Cigar Shop as well. Wolfie on the Valkyrie will make an attempt at a refrag, playing downstairs inside mining. And removing the G8 is definitely a good step here, as well as the IQ scanner, which if you could get that below inside reading, you could do a bit of damage. Though, without seeing the Maestro, you won't have someone you can consistently count on to be that freebie on cams. But it'll be KSU. They respond. So throwing goes down. You are my dead, and that's Pixel cleared. The Valkyrie playing a dangerous game. The wallbang ultimately will be her death, but this reposition from the Malusi in an attempt to protect and save her teammate will leave Sight quite vulnerable. Wanda Swan, however, responding with a kill onto Cool. And now, though, Sight control has been completely forfeit, and all 3 defenders now sit on the 2nd floor. This is the perfect opportunity to get that plant down, and we'll see it just happen. But Malusi rotating up the stairs. If she's able to win this very difficult gunfight, we might see her team find success, but no. It'll be X with 1 and Smack with 2 as KSU take round number 5 and 4 attacking rounds here on the first half. Keg, this is just a crazy start for KSU on their pick.
A crazy start indeed. Kennesaw really proving to UGA that they need to win at least 1 round for themselves before UGA can even be considered to win another one for their own. The only time we've seen UGA win a single round was the 2nd attempt at Kitchen again, but here we go. 1 last round in the first half, and it's going to be returning to bar again. UGA has not changed their defensive style whatsoever in how they choose their bomb sites. It has gone reading, kitchen, bar. And I really feel like that might not be the best idea. I mean, splitting it up or at least making things a little bit interesting could always be beneficial, but no, instead, by now, Kennesaw has to predict that the strat is going to be bar. And so I'm not really sure how I feel about that. It's going to give SKU a little bit more time to really prepare and figure out what their strategy is. Of course, the unique spawn is off, so they're going to have to deal with wherever they do go in the beginning, but even then, it's not a great idea, I would say, for UGA to kind of go with a linear style of round picks.
Well, I definitely agree with your thoughts in some respect there. Repeating the same bomb site does give KSU, who are trying to fight the uphill battle, but it seems they've got an engine so far. It gives them a bit of an easy opportunity. We don't have to change the attacking plan up all too much. But UGA, it seems, are making some attempt to change their defensive strategy, which I think does probably make this a bit more acceptable. We're seeing them adapt. They're choosing to switch off from running that Valkyrie to now for the Maestro, and they've also got the castle barricades as well, which is a big consideration. So this is a smart change for UGA. The big question is, will it pay off?
That's the really big question, because so far their payoff has been a 50%. They lost the 2nd round of reading and they won the 2nd round of kitchen. It's up to this final round of bar to see whether or not they're going to see a 4-2 split or if Kennesaw is going to walk home with a 5-2 split going into the 2nd half. Now, we will be having a guaranteed rehost in the 2nd half right now, but we do see a lot of Cigar already being completely barricaded off, closed away from the rest of the world. I am throwing, holding down everything by themselves on that side of the map. Now, the walls and windows are, of course, opened up slowly, piece by piece, but those Wamai discs are going to have to be the safety net. I am throwing needs to rely on. Again, a bit of a slower round right off the rip. Not a lot of action going down. McCool does take, I believe, around 52 damage, or at least has 52 damage left. But other than that, it's been a really slow round on all facets.
I'm going to talk about the castle barricade we see. I believe that's on the cigar shop door. It works kind of in some respects. I mean, the mute doesn't have to worry about the south side window, but also for the player sitting on Pixel, if we could just see the red wall open, that gives them basically free reign to run into Cigar and basically overwhelm the Wamai here holding on Pixel spot. Just so long as we don't see them get really complacent, it might serve to punish them a bit. We'll see Mango go down and ultimately be confirmed, but not before Cool is able to shut down the Mute. I think that's the second time now Mute, the first defender to die in defending this bomb site. He really just does not have too much good luck.
McCool2's cool for school, able to string together some kills, but then again, you lose out on the IQ versus the Mute. Two of the techno warriors of the Rainbow Six world going to be completely gone in Cafe for the final round of the first half. The allergies aren't really affecting my throat, so apologize if I sound a little... But regardless of that fact, Extrin is just slow and solid snaking his way in, finding the headshot to his left on the Juan. And while Wolfie does get and I'm throwing are able to get Extrin, they're able to string together more rounds. This is going to be another one of two situations where we've seen KSU on the back heel against UGA. It's going to be the attackers completely separated apart, but they do find Wolfie. It's going to be Smack that is able to find the bullets going into him. But with Casanova and I am throwing seemingly nowhere to be found except behind a chassis, Smack is able to find another one. Suddenly things were looking great for UGA, returned back to almost complacency, with KSU winning 5 rounds almost in a row, only being broken up by 1 round towards the very end. And with the second half going to be 5-1, this could be an absolute good night going forwards with maybe only 1 or 2 rounds left in map 1.
So we will have a short rehost while we get everything back in order, and hopefully all the issues are succinctly solved. But ultimately, KSU, they're pulling out all the stops to take an incredible first half for their map pick, and this is looking like we might be off to Oregon for in one of, I think, Collegiate's shortest matches. And of course, this being the first casted match for all of CR6 Season 5, this would be the shortest game, or the longest game, or, you know, it's got all the titles for itself.
It's very selfish. But I do want to talk about how we did mention in the pre-phase how UGA really struggled with adapting around. They did adapt a little bit, but here's the thing though, they went for the second sights again, and it's just Kennesaw. You know, they can adapt around, or UGA can adapt around the attacking style of Kennesaw, but Kennesaw themselves can adapt around the defenses, and even if they do change down a little bit. For a while, it did look like Georgia had it all down pat for that final round in the first half, but Smack at the very end strung together a double kill, I believe, and then one last kill did happen off screen, but being able to just click on those heads so effectively, that's what really won them around, and I think it's just the raw gunfights that Kennesaw are able to take and win are what's bringing them so far ahead.
And that's definitely one of the big things that you could leverage when you're attacking on Cafe. If you don't fall into kind of those slow ruts that, you know, a lack of aggression would give you, I mean, that's basically a free ticket. And in that last round, even though we saw UGA, they have kind of decent site control and they had the man advantage 3-2. Ultimately, all it took was the Zofia player to just say, okay, we're done here. I'm just going to come swing every angle. And even though you might have a deployable camera that keeps on pinging me, I'm just going to swing and shoot you regardless. And what a shot that he hit behind that bomb chassis. And all it took was just that one final kill with the SMG-11 peeking into the bathroom to finish off that first half. 5-1. What are the implications of that incredible first half scoreline?
Well, when it comes down to it, you can have a really incredible attack, but of course, sometimes that doesn't translate too well with reversing sides. Now, UGA could be a much more attacker-centric team. For me, at the very least, it's yet to be seen. And Kennesaw, they might struggle a lot on the second half. Sure, it's 5-1 right now. It's definitely not the situation you want to be in if you're Georgia, but not all is lost. At the very least, you don't have to force overtime just yet. But that's going to mean every single round so far from here on out, there is no leeway for Georgia. Even if they lose one round, that means there's more rounds for them to potentially lose into overtime. Sure, there's a guaranteed map 2, but do you really want to rely on a map 2 to maybe go to a map 3 and win? No, you want to make this a 2-0 in Georgia's favor. And right now, they're not putting in the effort to bring themselves to that area. Now, a rehost, of course, is underway right now, and that could be a great pep talk for everyone on the team to really fix things and put everything back in motion. But so far, scrimming against, In Mirage, having not loading on your former team, the confidence that we had seen come out from Georgia saying, hey, we may have lost not loading, but we're not too worried. I would be kind of worried starting off this season 5-1 against Kennesaw.
Another big thing to look at is that tilt factor. And Kennesaw, they said it loud and clear. That's what we're going to try to focus on. We're going to try to get Georgia in their fields, and we're going to try to ultimately put ourselves up by a ton. And the massive emotional effect that losing the favored side on a map like Cafe has, especially so dramatically, not even, a negative 2-4. No, they're down by so many rounds. But we'll have more to talk about after this short intermission, so stick with us.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up. say it like that. If I hate you, then find someone new. Baby, but you know I never will. No, so I choke you down just like a pill. Say sorry. Oh, maybe I'll leave, baby, but you know I never will. No, so I choke you down just like a pill.
I'm on my own, broken alone. I feel the rain crashing down. All around this empty town, we're searching for the lost and found. But you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air, like a blazing flare. Just stare, cause the flames will burn us. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. I used to kiss your head when you cried for me. Hold your hand while the pain was over. Keep you warm by the roaring sea. You meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. My darling dear, you're never here. When I'm in pain, you hide and disappear. Like shadows in the atmosphere, charting the stratosphere. Yeah. I prayed for you and kept you near in hopes you'd chase away my fears. I'm on my own, you made it so, and now I'm chasing nightmares through. I used to run with you through the great big leaves, laugh at you when you laugh at me. Hope for us because I believe the home was just you and me. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, I'm gonna do this on my own. No point in blaming you, you did not know. Oh, I thought you were the one for me. That's why close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me.
Hey everybody, welcome back to CR6 Season 5. Apologies for that extra long break. Siege was really giving us the runaround and trying to get this lobby, but ultimately we are back and almost ready to resume the action on Cafe. Just a quick refresher for those of you who are now joining us. It was a dominant first round half. Attacking Kennesaw took 5-1 in terms of rounds, and they were just not letting up. The only round we saw UGA get was that massive quad kill coming through from I Am Throwing, and ultimately not a good look for UGA starting off for Kennesaw's map pick.
If you looked up struggle in the dictionary, the first thing you would see right now is the University of Georgia for Rainbow Six Siege. They've been struggling so much so far this entire game, and when it comes down to it, you gotta give them a little bit of credit. Their losses haven't been by a monstrous amount. A lot of the rounds have, at least towards the end of the first half, did start off going to 1v1s or sometimes 1v2s. But there were instances in the beginning of the game where it was very common for Kennesaw to end the very end of the round going 4v2 with that slowly whittling away to sure a 2v2 and then eventually a 2v1 and a 2v0, but still having that dominant player performance on Kennesaw's side. But there has been a little bit of an evolution, don't get us wrong, it has been there, but UGA have only been able to come out on top, climb the end of that mountain for only a single round. And here we go, going into the second half, of Cafe Dostoevsky, where they really have a huge gigantic mountain range to transverse through if they want to make their way not only to winning the map, but maybe even possibly forcing the overtime, depending on how Kennesaw plays the next 2 or 3 rounds.
Definitely so. We need to see a very dominant UGA come into this. They can't really afford to make too many mistakes, because if we see them kind of fall into the same traps we saw on the first half, if they're trying to play it too slow and they're not being really close enough in every gunfight, we might just see KSU take this and send us off to the second map of the series. And while this is KSU's map pick, UGA, they can't just immediately come out the gate and say, oh, okay, well, let's just throw that game away because, you know, it's just KSU's map pick. You can't write it off. You need to be back in this game and at least put up some bit of effort. I'm hoping to see this go to at least OT, if not maybe see a UGA comeback. But assuming everything is good to go and both teams are ready, we will be heading directly into the action. Cafe to resume.
Here we go. Map number 2 again. If you were not here for the beginning of the game, we did have the operator bands of Thatcher, Monty, and then we'd have Mira and Echo. The Monty band, of course, being the most interesting to you probably if you were not around at the beginning of the game. The Monty band was there as a target band going to UGA, which were very commonly used in previous UGA matches, but this time around, they're going to finally possibly reap the benefits of having that band now that the University of Georgia are finally timed to go on their own attacking spree. Right off the rip, we don't see too much of a difference there, except for Monty, of course, being banned. Manly Banana gonna be rocking the Blitz pick. Again, another shield, not so much as effective as the Monty pick, so a little bit more of an aggressive style there, and might have to cross knives or butt heads with the Alibi, possibly. But otherwise, pretty standard team composition from both sides.
Well, I would rebut that a little bit. Standard, maybe we've got the Ace, the Ash. But what I'm looking at is the fact that we have a Blitz and a Jackal. I mean, shield play, yes, is kind of UGA's thing, but to bring that out in combination with the roam clear for the Jackal makes sense from kind of a utility standpoint, but if they're not playing that from a utility standpoint, and this is just kind of their comfort picks, that does spell a little bit of a disaster for UGA. We need to see them be really affirmative, and they need to be on top of this. If we don't see, I mean, really sensible action, there kind of needs to be a decision-making process that goes through here, because, you know, it could be all good to have all of these aggressive operators, but if you're not consistently winning that early engagement, building that man advantage, UGA could fall further and further into this rut that they seem to be in following that 6th round.
I'm confident in the Jackal pick. I'm curious to see what they're gonna do on UGA's side. Having the Blitz and the Jackal spells that, yep, they're probably not gonna go for a top-down attacking style. I'm gonna guess that the Blitz is gonna go through the window here inside train, and they're gonna go bottom up. In this instance, that will give more credence to the roam clearing Jackal, sniffing P from down below, but it looks like instead they are going for that said motion, but instead there are no defenders playing on the bottom side. It's gonna be Wolfie already taking down Smack. That's gonna be the Jaeger gone. So already we're seeing something we don't normally see from UGA, and that's them having the man count advantage. Casanova himself is gonna be passing around as well, finding Mango, but there we go, the double kill. But the real question, Stick, is what's gonna happen next? The Blitz finding himself in a bit of a mental corner, or at least a physical one. Now a real physical one with that grenade going down, and that's gonna be in a very bad position.
Juan taking a bit of blowback there from his second frag grenade, but ultimately the Maestro is able to get back up and is really being forced to dance here by Wolfie, shotgunning it up through into Maestro's spot. That Evil Eye, which is positioned here just next to stage, ultimately forcing the Blitz to make a quick second decision, but ultimately he says, to hell with the Evil Eye, I'm just gonna sprint on through. And now as he takes control of Pixel, ultimately he will get pushed back upon. And this is really an interesting decision here from KSU. I haven't seen a strategy where you'll try to hold Pixel from inside of Deep Freezer, or Freezer itself rather, but you know, given the aggressive things that we're seeing UGA attempt here, ultimately maybe this is the right decision. Bit of a spectator bug, so just ignore that. But ultimately UGA, I mean, they started off well, but ultimately now they're kind of having that mid-round slump once again. Not removing kind of this passiveness after you're able to get that opening set of kills ultimately can kind of work to negate that in some effects, because you're not utilizing that to its fullest extent, and the advantage could start to melt away.
Now, keep in mind that we did see an interesting start to the round with having not necessarily a huge push from UGA going from the top down. In fact, they started on the second floor and worked their way up. But here we go, now they have to make up for a lost time, trying to find these opening picks instead. It's a Manly Banana that goes down, but I'm sorry, the Maestro follows up next. But now you have to make up for lost time, opening up all of Cigar and take control of it. Whereas only now 2 defenders, yes, are still alive, but they still have somewhat of map control, losing it by every second. The Alibi is still going to be in the way. And, you know, having a little pea shooter there up against everything else, not the best position to be in. Casanova now going in for the bomb plant, Stakes with a double kill to follow it up. And it looks like another body on the floor. The Cool was the last one alive, but unfortunately not able to string anything either. Having your 2 primary weapons being the UMP and the little pea shooter that Alibi brings out, not the situation when you want to be in on KSU's side. Now keep in mind, like I said, it was not a great little slump area for UGA. They had to make up for that lost time, and it seemed like for a little bit, despite them having the man advantage, they could have easily lost it with a barrage of bullets by all the defenders standing still. But Wolfie, from up above, from the heavens itself, finding that headshot on the Estrin really helped make that round go fully on, full speed ahead for UGA's favor, and that's where we bring ourselves to a 5-2 split.
Well, ultimately, I mean, this is something UGA fans can cheer about. They're able to take this round first after all of that massive momentum was dropped following the rehost. And again, kind of a weird utilization of the clock. UGA, they started it off oh so right with 2 great early picks in little response from Kennesaw, but ultimately the Blitz, he did get a bit too aggressive trying to post up on Pixel. He was cut down from the Alibi, but after that, and after we spent so long burning the clock, ultimately UGA finally get back in the saddle and they're able to close out their round. But now as we return to this bomb site, I'm wondering what the difference will be from KSU. We see the castle in play. This was the main notable change from when we saw UGA switch back and forth between this bomb site. So I'm wondering what the effectiveness will be. Maybe locking off these windows is going to be the idea. this is something that Team Versity would definitely not have to deal with, considering their style of cafe where they consistently ban the castle, and maybe that'll be UGA's focus moving forward if they kind of struggle with their barricades. I can all but hope.
Now, interestingly, we do see stakes this time. Last round, they were the alibi, but now, in fact, they're going to be the Valkyrie. This is a little bit more of a safer option, especially post-mortem if they do go down quickly. Having those black eyes, watching around very carefully to see where those attackers are going to come from next. And we are seeing a very top-down approach this time for the attack, a very standard one at that, except for the Blitz and Jackal returning once again. Now, we did see the Heat Scanner work down for the Jackal. We see Manly Banana make some use out of the Blitz shield. Unfortunately, they were sort of cut down in their prime towards the Pixel Angle. But Wamai this time, not holding anything crazy. Could be watching Pixel Angle standard and normal. Barricades from the castle, not going to be in crazy areas either. They're all going to be on the windows, like you had predicted, Stick. But here we are again, a very traditional attack.
And why really change it up? UGA found a lot of success, not only playing on the windows, but also in some iterations when we saw, I believe, the Jackal of Wolfie hiding out on Snow Door. Ultimately, nobody really making too much noise in this round. But we did see Mango take a bit of damage. Interesting that we see an attempt now from Kennesaw at the bottom floor roam. The Jaeger hiding out could possibly cause a disturbance if he flanks up red stairs in the midst of this round, and especially if we see UGA focus too much on their aggression and start to form a bit of tunnel vision if they're not worried about that flank, and with the obvious lack that there's no air jabs and no track stingers, that could be a real problem.
That's right. Something we neglected to talk about last round was that there were no flank walkers at all for UGA. Not that it made too much difference. They did end up winning the round, and there were no flankers that made. But this time around, we do have Smack hiding down away, waiting for his time to strike like a cobra. But like a cobra this time, Manly falling into the same trap again. He has so many bodies going around him. It's not the best situation to be in. Looks off far off lands. We Smack, who I believe is going for that flank once again, finding the opening pick, taking down Wolfie, and he's going to be in his own little world right now, going far away to make sure he doesn't get traded out. Manly Banana's not having a good time right now. He's holding off as much as he can on these soft walls, but unfortunately, he can only do so much with a small little shield with so many different avenues. Now that you keep a strike, Kennesaw finding the follow-up kill with an AK-12, taking down the flanker. I'm sorry, no, taking on Stakes, who with the black eyes, able to find some post-mortem intel, but the man count keeps dwindling down. Casanova finding the cool, and you're down to that Jaeger and that micro pick again. Of course, having a lawnmower up against a gigantic shield in the way, not the place to be. Smack finding that shield once again. Casanova with a breath of air left inside of him, having the diffuser in play, gets that final kill. It's gonna be Smack who finds Casanova, taking away that inch of life left from the slowly dwindling away ace.
Well, it was Smack to go down first in round number 7, but he had a lot more to say in number 8, and what that'll mean is KSU, they've been able to put themselves on match point. 6-2, a great lead for them on their map pick, and we might just see them be able to close it out. Unfortunately, UGA just not able to replicate that same early aggression with no response from KSU that we saw on the first attempt attacking this bomb site. Ultimately, they were slowed down a lot, and taking control of White Hallway through from Pixel was ultimately made so difficult. There was a lot of utility stacked up, and great prone angle coverage from the KSU defenders ultimately caused so many hiccups. And though they were eventually able to clear all magnets and all ADSs, they still suffered from the effects of Wamai's position. He was able to take one down before getting naded back, so ultimately, you need to be really, really assertive in those positions, because if not, Kennesaw, they're going to make you hurt.
They're going to make you hurt indeed, and something that doesn't really hurt KSU's side has been Manly Banana in his blitz. He has been able to find some frags. In fact, after this rehost, he's only been able to find one. But so far, the blitz hasn't really contributed too much with his shield other than a little bit of pressure play at the top, or in some instances at the beginning of the round, the bottom of the map. Overall, what he's been doing can work with other operators, primarily Monty, that happened to be target banned. But overall, the blitz, I think, could have been swapped out for even dare I say, a fuse, could have been an interesting pick. But with that being said, though, we are seeing some early aggression coming up from Mango, looking around towards the end of the barricade, seeing if he can find any of those quick peeks. But the answer is going to be no. Playing a dangerous game, and dangerous games give you dangerous results. He's going to back away while he can, and everyone's going to stay nice and tight with their lives.
Close to being spotted out by the Ash and having his life ripped away from him. Vigil now making a quick change in his decisions and rotating away from that top coverage. But ultimately, Wolfie catches Smack out. He's either dead first or the one making everyone else go down. And losing your Jaeger early, maybe this is the start UGA need. No refrag in sight, but I won't get too hasty. We've seen better things happen from KSU.
We did see Smack last round go for the flank plays and do it successfully despite the team not winning overall. This time around, however, it looks like he was playing a much more defensive role this time, of which he will be going down first. I'm not exactly sure where he ended up dying, but overall the ADSs are played down and he just lost a body, but you still have some of that utility to work with.
Yeah, so this maybe will give UGA kind of the promptness to be able to secure this round. And if they're able to capitalize a lot on the vertical pressure, I think that's when we'll see them be the most successful. But you got to pay some mind to the roamers. If we see somebody be able to come back up, and with the decision from UGA really to not care at all about flank watch, which is honestly something we should probably touch more upon. One good flank from KSU could completely throw the course of these rounds off, but it just seems like they're trying to maybe hedge their bets and play a bit safer on the objective, because when you're running so many of these kind of out of the meta operators like we see from the Blitz and the Jackal, that doesn't really leave you many more opportunities to play some of those flex operators like a Gridlock or a Nomad.
Well, speaking of flex operators, your only hard breather, Casanova, is going to be going down and losing the ace nonetheless. He did do his job by helping open up the freezer, but not fully all the way. He swapped the vault over, leaving you in a vulnerable position. It's going to be up to somebody on the right side to try to take that down. That's going to be McCool instead, not finding any kills. He's going to be killed himself, and I am throwing, coming in from the back, taking down McCool and so many others. It's a 6-2 right now. KSU only need one more round and they can get rid of Cafe, but no, instead it's the Exerin who needs to bring back a 1v4. Bomb Diffuser has gone down. It's not the position he wants to be in, but all he can do is hide away, the Iron Shield being the only thing really protecting him. He's not even on the right side of the Iron Shield, unfortunately. It has cut down, but we are back in. Peekaboo, I see Juan right there, finding Exerin on the other side from Mini. Gonna be able to take down that one line. That's gonna be a 2-round string from UGA, something stick that we have yet to see so far.
Yeah, and this is really just the story of, I think, Throwing helping out his team so much. He's got to be my MVP for UGA so far. You got to give him that opportunity, and he'll show it to you. Fragging out, he got the 4K massive earlier on the Wamai, and now showing up as the Ash. UGA have some inklings of success in their attacking rounds, and it's kind of a problem though that could develop further, especially if we see them run into kind of these roadblocks. If KSU try to play more of the slow game, if we see them maybe deploy things like the Clash, like the Legion, and possibly even the Malusi, which I believe we saw a bit from UGA earlier, then maybe that will be ultimately the decision to get them slowed down as much as possible.
You're absolutely right. We did see some Malusi earlier in the first half. Whether it was effective is kind of up for debate. I don't think there were any kills that necessarily had the Banshee involved, and given where the Banshee was placed as well, weren't really big areas that I think we saw the attackers really approach onto. But hopefully in a future round when Malusi does come back, we can see that Banshee be much more effective. But this time around we are returning again to reading room, which on UGA's side was an interesting hold. Twice in a row, in fact, neither of which were successful for UGA, but Kennesaw this time going for a much more above-ground vertical play rather than holding just the horizontal second floor.
I feel like KSU kind of have mixed success with this castle, and I like to see it come through in some rounds, but we need to see kind of not only just the castle, but also maybe more slowdown operators. I mean, you've got the Electro Claws from Arcade, I'll give you that, but check out this attacking strategy from UGA. It's more aggressiveness. They're trying to rush in through the bottom red, and we might just see a train bypass round. They might try and sneak in through mining, establish control of dining, and using the window pressure we see from the Buck, try and simply get that diffuser down and force KSU into a terrible situation. But with no sign of KSU giving up train just yet, this might be enough time for them to get this call going. The blitz is just steaming through train, and with throwing pushing in now too, I think they will be able to shut it down, but trade it. Smack with a kill onto Wolfie means you're Jackal down, and Manly Banana really not doing too hot as well on the blitz. Only a couple bullets will be necessary in shutting him down, and that's probably something KSU are going to be really excited about, especially since it can be so difficult to take down that blitz with his nice shield in the way.
Yeah, it's pretty convenient that he has a shield. Manly Banana still going to remain alive, and I am throwing possibly the carry of the team right now. Going to be shut down as well. C4 is going to go into the stack, but just getting away in the nick of time. It's Manly Banana who comes and gets Smack. Smack did throw that C4, trying to kill who I believe is Casanova on the window. I'm sorry, no, Juan on the window. Not going to find him. This is putting KSU in a very advantageous position. Sure, it's a 3v3, but not only is Manly Banana not in a very good position health-wise, but a lot of UGA is really just relegated to this train area. The defenders themselves, while giving up a site, yes, they do have somewhat of a line of sight. It all being completely soft is easy credence for that Maestro to use his Alda and to mow down the site. 50 seconds left now, however, and we just need to see that final go down. The Buck rotating from bottom of white, going up to see if he can go in for a late round flank. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching now, this is a very rare attacking prowess that we don't see happen too often, going bottom up for reading and dining. Plant's going to go down for Manly Banana. I think it's shut down in its prime. Juan comes in for the refrag, taking an Exerin, but is it going to be enough? Where are the other two? There we go. McCool finds Casanova, and there's only one left alive, and it's Mistakes taking down Juan. And ladies and gentlemen, Kennesaw win map number 1 of Cafe against the University of Georgia. It's Georgia versus Georgia right now, and I think we know who the better Georgia is, at least on top for now.
Well, Kennesaw, they come out on top, dominant 7-3 on their map pick, but we still have the rest of this best of 3 to answer the ultimate Georgian question of who will prevail. Our second map, as noted earlier, will be Oregon, which is almost even more defender-sided than Cafe. So if we see UGA continue to struggle, that would be a real warning sign.
Yeah, warning sign indeed. We're going to Oregon as the next map, and honestly, it's not really that much different in Cafe in terms of, setting up your bomb
Oh,
sites,
my
having
ping
a
is. I
very
already
planned out
restarted my
secondary,
computer.
primary, and
Did that
tertiary
before we
site as
started.
well.
Your open mic.
There's a
Your
little
open
bit
mic,
more of
bro.
an emphasis on the roam game, I would say, on Oregon, but when it comes down to the
Man, they're all
attackers,
talking fucking
you got to be
Spanish, yeah.
coordinated on the attack, and you got to know exactly what you want to do in order to win
We
those
weren't ready.
rounds. I'm a little nervous to see if that's going to go into fruition. So I'm curious to see if Kennesaw is able to maintain what they've done before on their attack. And if UGA, and while they did have a very decent attack side from what rounds we did see, they need to be able to step it up as well, especially on their defense, and really bring it home, or we're going to see a clean 2-0 from Kennesaw.
You're right on point there, Keg, but we do have a couple of changes that are coming. We'll have the lovely Mango coming in as our new observer, so we can have both the wonderful CDC on production and then him as the dedicated spectator. So we'll be heading to a short break, so stick with us, and hopefully we will be having a quick transition into that, but stick with us.
In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand onto the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, for you, for you, for you, for you, for when the lights go down, I've seen hell in you, but you don't care, no, you don't care, no. You just rather watch me fall from a quarter mile. I can see you at the call. Think about it, ring won't tell you what I saw. When you break it off, you'll see who had it all. You had it all. You said you wanted to fall into oblivion, forget about the world we're living in. Fall into oblivion, oblivion, oblivion. I'm going in. Fall into oblivion. Fall into oblivion. Forget about the world we're living in. Fall into oblivion, 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 oblivion. I'm going in. You can't fall asleep when you're counting stars. Get it together. Your mind can't sleep when you let it serve. Now you wanna see me fall from a quarter mile. I can see you at the call. Think about it, ring won't tell you what I saw. When you break it up, you'll see who had it all. You had it all. You said you wanted to fall into oblivion, forget about the world we're living in. Fall into oblivion, oblivion, oblivion.
so fast, all tied up like a captive. I want you. Used to pay my mind like standing on rainbows, playing it cool. I haven't felt this in ages, and I know no patience. So won't you please stay a bit longer? You're making me stronger, making me stronger. Stay a bit longer.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to map number 2 between KSU and UGA. KSU, founded in 1963 against the very old 1785 Georgia. I think they're going to show that maybe being old is not too great. KSU winning a very dominant map number 1 against UGA just goes to show that, hey, maybe the new young blood is there to dominate. How's it going, Stick? How are you?
Well, I'm pretty excited to figure out what will go down on Oregon, and I definitely like the wonderful college facts you provided us here with. And assuming both teams are ready in the lobby and confirm that they're good to go, we will be heading into the action for Oregon. Personally, I'm expecting to see UGA probably play this one maybe a bit more aggressive on offense. It seemed like they lacked a little bit of that, especially in consideration with kind of some of the site control, but we're good to go, and we're heading into the action, so take it away, Keg.
Absolutely. So, operator bans from last time when we were on Cafe were interesting, but not so interesting once you learn the history behind of the why they chose said operator bans. I broke English. We did see a Monty ban last time around, but it's typically used as a target ban against Manly Banana, who loves to run the Monty pick. That resorted to him to going to, I suppose, the less comfortable Blitz pick, which I believe in total he got 2 kills out of all the rounds in the second half where he had it. But the Thatcher ban going down first, of course, Stick, is absolutely no surprise.
Yeah, we saw it on Cafe. We see it here again for Oregon. It's kind of the all-purpose ban,
Yep,
and the
there you
Monty as well. So we could be staring down the barrel of the very same bans, especially with how relevant the Mira and Echo picks are here for Oregon. And ooh, we got a quick pick here from KSU. They've got the idea of what they want to ban, and it will be that Mira removed once more. So we've only got one final operator to figure out which will be removed. And outside of maybe the Echo, which we had predicted, I would also see the possibility for maybe a Wamai ban, maybe see something like a Maestro or possibly even Valkyrie, but we will have confirmation, and it's Malusi. Okay, so bringing us something a little bit different. We actually saw Kentucky University ban Malusi against KSU recently, so they've got a bit of experience playing without her, and maybe this is something that UGA are trying to bring against them once more. And specifically, I remember actually last time KSU has played this map, they did take a pretty difficult loss to Kentucky, so maybe this one, my ban, is UGA trying to get into that same spirit.
Absolutely. So, having Malusi last game didn't really provide a whole lot of benefits for KSU side. We did see those Banshees go down, but there were never really any times where I would say, wow, that Malusi won the round, or wow, that Banshee really had them decisively win the round. Otherwise, they would have lost. But having her banned this time around on a much more constricted map where the rotates are much more obvious, there's very designated places for each operator to go, having the Malusi ban makes a lot more sense. Now, with her being gone, there's going to be a lot more free traction for, say, pushing the freezer on the bottom site, or in this instance, going dining. You could have easily put a Banshee just about anywhere in these off-route rooms. But we're not going to see those anymore. Instead, we do have Wamai being picked. Magnum discs will be great for stopping a lot of projectiles in their supply and sending them any which way, which can very well go back towards the attackers themselves.
Seems as though words are fighting both you and I tonight on the cast, but hopefully we can get... Yeah, well, I've got my reins with me, so I can't use that excuse. But it seems we've got a bit of a top floor vertical hold here from UGA, especially considering these reinforcements both inside pit and also on the game's wall. So it will be maybe a focus of trying to burn all of those reinforcements in the utility, which we might see deployed here by UGA. But all things considered, a fairly stock standard hold here for dining and kitchen.
I do want to say, I just had my first hit of Black Monkey at a 10:49 at night, so things are already looking pretty good for both of us. Right away, though, we do see the attack going for a huge stranglehold inside of tower. The Zofia using her lifelines? No, not using her lifelines to open a small little deviation into the other parts of the map. No, in fact, it's going to be... They have to do that any second from now. But until then, it's going to be I am throwing on the can, waiting for that drone to strike, and there we go. There it goes. but now that's going to be the R4, the 416. More. This gives a lot of credence for Smack to move on through the attic. We're looking around to see where that possible roamer was. The Jackal no longer in play. That was UGA's pick. But the Zofia pushing up very quickly is going to find the face of I Am Throwing, who has been a huge fragger for UGA side. Of course, it's a domino effect from there. Mango taking down Casanova, and Stick losing down on the Jaeger immediately is not a good look, especially with the Womai not being too far off.
Nice snap reaction there from Smack and starting it off. KSU have not let off the gas at all, though it will be Wanda Swan, the first reaction by UGA and pushing away from the Kennesaw State offense. Really good stuff from them. They've got great vertical control and plenty of time to spare. It seems an execute will be soon to follow. We need to see UGA find the equalization here. Manly Banana holding strong with the Alden and attempting to contest the hatch, trying to hit that shot, but Smack on the Zof gets the better of Wanda Swan, who goes down. And KSU, they've got a strong two-man advantage here, and they will drive it home, pushing deeper and further towards the objective. And off little evil eye placement there on Zig will get removed by a nicely placed explosive, I believe, from the Zofia. Actually, no, it'll be a bit of damage done as well. Oh, Smack is just going off with the Zofia. 3 kills to his name this round. The M762 really doing all the work, and X to clean up. The Maverick with an additional pick, and KSU are starting off their offense with that same great fire we saw on Cafe.
Very fiery indeed. They could light a campfire with all the bullets they're sparking around this map. I really thought that Womai was able to get that headshot onto Smack. Unfortunately, that was not the case. Had that headshot connected, that could have very easily turned the tide of the round. Smack already on a double kill at that point could have been denied the triple at the very end there, giving them the man advantage on UGA's side, but a different dimension probably got that result. In a different dimension, TSM would not have gone 14-1 against Tempo tonight, but you live and you learn, I suppose. It's the reality we live in. But speaking of realities and alternate ones, we do have the Maestro going off onto the Goyo pick, and interestingly, on the reverse, the Ash going to the Ying pick on Steak's side. Interesting. I like both of these.
Yeah, so the Ying with those Candelas can definitely be quite an oppressive operator, and oppressive is a great descriptor for what we saw in round number 1. And continuing that now down for the basement defense from UGA, Kennesaw might just try and find themselves too early. Very aggressive and assertive rounds. If they're able to keep up the pressure, which we saw happen on Cafe, this might look a bit dangerous for the University of Georgia.
So traditionally, with Juan and his Goyo pick, you do have the Vulcan shields going on blue tarps on the right side. Someone's going to be holding behind that shield, of course. ADS is usually placed around there as well to hold onto that shield for
5 seconds left before insertion.
Now, I'm not sure who exactly is going to be holding it. Now, I would assume it's going to be the Goyo, but Smoke usually is one that holds it as well. But starting the round off already, holding that shield. And that gets lost immediately. Usually the one holding that shield backs off, reinforces that little hiding hole so the attackers can't take advantage of it. But it looks like right away we're not seeing anybody hold on to that. Oh, there we go. And Casanova is going to be the one designating himself to that spot. ADS is placed a little far up, I would think, but the entire room is just surrounded in electro. This is magnetic. Screw it. But there we go, already being blinded out by everybody. The Vulcan shield being destroyed immediately by Smack and his lifeline. Not going to take down shield number 2 from the looks of it, but instead, Vulcan shield number 1 is going to be gone away. Casanova says, screw it, I'm not taking any chances. And good thing he did it while he did, because that shield had gone away. Unfortunately, though, on the other side of the things, though, it's an absolute rush on the other facet of the map. We Smack who finds another kill, finding Manly Banana. It's a back and forth. It just doesn't end.
This is really an excellent start from Kennesaw. Not only did they waste a large portion of that utility, they also did it really efficiently with the Candelas, and that isn't something that I've seen from any team utilized so far. Really great deployment of utility here, and capitalizing on that with an aggressive rush by Mango, netted them 1 pick, but ultimately it seems UGA are still attempting to fight it back, though X, with his nice holes there open into the E-box, while he was able to get the last laugh with that most recent pick we saw onto the Goyo. KSU are going to need to get this diffuser down. They've got 1 minute and 15 seconds roughly to do it, and honestly, this is more than doable, especially considering they aren't completely throwing this away either. They've still got, I think, a couple Candelas in pocket and great dronage as well. Stakes doesn't even need his utility, however. Landing the headshot at LMG really just makes everything so much easier. And Casanova, left alive, he has so many players to take down, and all it takes is a couple bullets from a strong free fire as Kennesaw just soar to a second round win.
A somewhat shaky beginning for KSU, turning to a very dominant performance towards the very end. Actually, no. Scratch that and back it up a little bit. From the very middle towards the end of the round, it was a very performative and beautiful round from KSU's side. They were able to use those Candelas, like you mentioned, and just really close down and collapsed on the site from there. It wasn't a losable situation coming down from throwing or Juan either, but unfortunately they were just Casanova either, but they were just not able to really bring that home. We did see throwing go for that late round peak, and honestly, had he not done that and waited for someone to peak in time, this could have been a very different round yet again. 2 rounds in a row now that came down to one, I would say, really pivotal late game mistake that allowed KSU to really have a decisive victory.
We got another 6-pick onto the Ying, this time from the Fuse. 2 operators which really excel in clearing utility. The Fuse may be a bit more deadly in terms of purely a gadget position. UGA to return to the basement. They're going to make their second attempt at defending the spawn site, but the issue is KSU are just so dialed in their offensive strategy. It reminds me of this game I casted recently. I believe it was I want to say the former disbanded roster of, oh boy, I think it was Troll Team 6. No, it wasn't NSO. It was Tactical Banditry versus Akara. And Tactical Banditry, they cleared Blue Bunker in just a way that I haven't seen ever. And it's really being emulated here by Kennesaw. They do it so quickly, and they really move fast. But Juan will make a great decision here in tearing down that barricade. Now the Ying will have to toss each of her Candelas in individually, and instead of having a total of 18 pellets to waste all those ADSs, she's only got 3.
It's definitely an interesting attacking start coming up from KSU. They know that they go for the same exact approach again, that UGA is going to adapt around it, and have something up their sleeves to make sure it doesn't happen again. They're playing a lot slower this time, making sure that they're very careful and decisive about their next possible action. Candelas being prepped and ready for tarps once again, but attackers from above are looking to see what they can do to get some other pinching angles. Mango does find Juan. That's going down immediately. Not entirely sure where that was. Stick, do you have any ideas? I'm not sure. For the smoke, Canister's already going down. Visible deniability just about everywhere, and that's going to slow down and make Manly rotate his position. But that's not going to stop the Sophia. We both the shield number 2 going down. Reinforcement's going to go up immediately from Casanova. But as all that's going on, they're losing on the north.
Attackers have located a bomb.
It's going to be Mango having an angle from the landing of the basement stairs, looking down to see who dares rotate the hallway of now a hallway of death.
KSU, a lot of their players really embattled in this round, though they were able to get that opening pick. It's been nothing but damage from them since. Manly Banana, who suffered mostly from his own teammates' Vulcan shield detonated by the KSU offensive. Not much since there. Nice frag grenade tossed through. I think it might have gotten captured inside of, maybe through Ponywood? I didn't actually catch that, but you can hear those very noisy Selma charges detonating, and they'll open up the elbow wall, which forces Manly Banana, who is already very weak, to fall back even further. And Smack positioning himself now actually inside the very dark corner. There, I guess you could call that deep default. There's more and more ongoing here, and a bit of a standstill there in terms of the connection. Hopefully that's not something that continues on. KSU once again. They start this off really fast and maybe get bit more conservative, and the Cade trades it back. That is a gunfight he really had no business winning versus Smack, but Mango and X to respond with 2 picks of their own. Almost an unwinnable position once again for the
Attackers are
Wamai.
activating the
Despite
diffuser.
everything, B-site has been all but given up by UGA, but there we go. It's going to be the flank coming up from Casanova, not going to make himself hit whatsoever. Footsteps going to give him away. KSU stringing around 3 rounds in a row now. It seemed for a little bit that maybe UGA were going to hold themselves back a little bit, make sure they don't go into any silly situations, but one by one they fell like pegs on a pegboard and just ultimately fell to the barrel of KSU. KSU played the same exact round that they did previously on basement, but they played it slower, at least on the tarp's end. But the northern side, going down the basement stairs, holding a very discernible angle because nobody was watching pillars like you usually do on defense, were able to take that super soundly. Of course, though, it seems like UGA do not want to go to that again. They want to learn from their mistakes, lick their wounds while they can, and go to dorms rather than facing basement not once, not twice, but only one time, and actually no, twice, and rotating to another site.
Honestly, here, this is a very tricky position because you and I both know how the story played
Defenders,
out
protect
last
your
time
bombs
in
from
this
being defused
position.
by attackers.
When we saw KSU go up on the unfavored side, it was mostly dominance from them in a couple UGA rounds here and there. But the issue here is that same old excuse of, oh, you know, it's their map pick, we'll come back on the second map. That you can't apply that here. This is UGA's map pick, and they need to be on the ball no matter which side you're on. But so far, it's 3-0 for UGA. They've got nothing. And we need to see them come up with a little bit more than that,
10 seconds
especially
left.
considering the way KSU are playing is just completely lights out. And I
5
have to
seconds
admit,
to
I
insertion.
underestimated them a little bit, and this is definitely a learning experience. KSU,
Attackers
they might be a new
locate
team,
and
but they're
defuse the
certainly
bomb.
not a team to sleep on.
Absolutely not, Stick. You never want to sleep on teams because you never know. Most of the time, you can kind of predict when a team is going to be a little inferior, all things considered. But KSU, you never know when there's a team like them hiding in the mix. Of course, we're only 3 rounds in. Round number 4 now underway. It's going to be them, of course, looking to see what they can do horizontally and a little bit vertically as well. The roam game right now for UGA is
A bomb has
interesting to
been
say the
located.
very least. I think it was Wolfie hiding out inside of the small little tower, but not really going to be doing a whole lot except for possibly a run out, but it's starting to become too little too late with this push.
Yeah, I mean, look at how many players they've got stacked up here, and they've got one droning himself up the main stairs as well. So this is really a heavy position to stack so many players up for a south to north take, even though it's really you're only going to be a couple rooms before the objective. So calling out which directions is frankly pointless. The big thing for me is the fact that we see absolutely zero focus on trying to take big tower control and attic control at large. That's kind of a misplay in some respects, and UGA could get a couple of free picks. Unfortunately, the first Candela just bounced backwards, and that's going to give UGA a bit more time to react and say, guys, watch out, they're about to execute, and we should really be prepared for this.
Already some missed shots coming out from Casanova, being the only one to separate himself and the rest of his team, it seems, from the bomb site. It's going to be the corner area being played out. Can Wolfie play the patient game and hold this angle? But instead, Meeting Hall is going to be going for a horseshoe shape, an absolute onslaught of Battlefield. Now going underway, the kill feed going orange and blue back and forth, bringing it down to a 3v3. It's still not much progress has been made on KSU's end. We saw the defenders holding on to both bomb sites, and as they travel forward, the Maestro caught with his pants down, extra and taking down one, but the immediate refrag coming from Casanova's barrel. The other two KSU members still holding the same exact positions they did well over a minute ago, still seemingly afraid to push up whatever they can. Now we do have Casanova hiding around with a shotgun in play, and there we go, blasting that Ying in the face, completely obliterating her skull and every other beautiful part of her. It's gonna be McCool that finds Casanova, again, another trade, and now we're down to the quiet game. A single duel between two Cowboys, less than 30 seconds left, Black Eye in effect. Wolfie knows exactly where that ace is pushing from, and there we go, like it was nothing. Slow and steady, winning the race. Wolfie, the one with a very questionable position at the beginning of the round, finds the nice, recoilless almost seems, control, finding that ace at the very end, and securing UGA's first round so far, the first round in quite a long time, Sticula, that UGA has secured for themselves.
You mentioned questionable, and I think the way that KSU just attempted to attack that bomb site is what's really questionable. they kind of saw how effective it was being really aggressive in those first 2 attacking rounds on the basement, and they sort of tried to translate it in a really unusual and weird, kind of awkward way onto dorms. I think if they had maybe just decided to focus on that more normal setup, attacking the back wall of the attic, we might have seen them have more success. But no, they tried to force in through a tiny little doorway and wasted so much time that ultimately it gave
Attackers need
UGA
to
just the perfect amount of
locate you as
freebies.
they can.
And once we saw KSU get some kind of halfway decent positions, ultimately they weren't of much consequence. Maybe they got 1 kill and were refragged, but ultimately not too much to say for it, and UGA, with that, are able to get themselves on the board with 1 round, and in a little bit better fashion than we saw the first round won on the first half of Cafe.
No, I'm not gonna lie to you, Steve. I'm a little hesitant about returning to basement again. I know there aren't many options for them left, but
10 seconds.
honestly,
to
going
insertion.
dining wouldn't be the kitchen wouldn't be the worst option in the world, but
5
we've
seconds to
seen
insertion.
basement go twice really handily in the hands of KSU, and
Attackers
again, with the
objective
prep phase nearly
to locate
ending,
and
we're not
defuse.
seeing nearly as much, funny enough, prep being done on tarps. Now, again, tarp was one of the 2 main areas that we had seen attacked by KSU each round, but the more important one was Big Tower going down to the blue stairs. Now, one, of course, will be probably going that way, Juan ready to find that run out, but what is going to be the first course of action for KSU? The clash is there, both shields are seemingly put in the place. I was mistaken, but even then, not as much priority being put on them this round. It's all going to be in the hands of the shield master himself, Manly Banana, holding down as much as he can and letting whoever that is going to be try to get away with his life as those lifelines go down on the Vulcan shield.
Ultimately, the Clash finally pushed back, and her Vulcan shield detonated by the lifelines from Smack. This is basically just KSU attempting the same attacking strategy we've seen twice now from them already, which I think does have a couple problems. UGA are reading into that and making a few necessary changes, specifically now running that Clash, so you've got the ability to slow down and be a bit more in your face, and also retaining the ability to not die instantly to the guns from KSU rather. The position inside of Elbow, though, forfeit, the Vulcan detonated, and that rotation reinforced. So now it's full control of the east side tarps for Kennesaw. They're going to have to get these walls open once again, and we've seen them do this quickly, especially considering this expert deployment of the Selmas from McCool.
Now, Juan did give up of Elbow, but he's going for a full map flank, it seems, from the grounds above. But the Jaeger is as well. That means there's 2 less bodies on the bomb site itself, already contesting whatever they can on blue stairs. Suddenly, KSU's been ambushed. They're surrounded, and they don't have much room to rotate around. Stakes does find Juan, however, so that's going to be one of the 2 of the flankers completely gone. That's not going to stop the attackers, though, from making their onslaught onto the site. Excellent finding Casanova. But what about the rest of them? Snacks finds Wolfie, and is that going to stop Juan? I'm throwing one of 2 left alive. Manly Banana does find one with the SPS, but is that going to be enough? Seemingly, yes. Manly finds a second one, and I am throwing strings together one another. The Clash is going to go down. It's a 2v1. That diffuser has gone down. I am throwing the last one alive, gets into a kerfuffle with Mango, but unfortunately the G8's going to come down on top. What seemed like a very dire round for UGA turned out to be, you guessed it, a very dire round for UGA. There was a point, though, with that double flank from I am throwing in the Goyo, it could have turned around, but unfortunately, no. We did not see it. In that split second thinking of time, KSU decided to just say, screw it. There's 2 off the site. Let's just push it. Screw the Clash. We don't care about our shield. We'll still do our best. And the best they did. They won the round.
So we are working out a couple things, so just give us a quick moment. We're trying to make sure everything is dialed in. I don't think we're going to be having to go to a Rio, so keep your concerns at bay. We won't have any interruptions in the action insofar as the continuation of the game. Important to note, did you see that shot that Stakes hit onto the Goyo on stage that last round? Because that was honestly out of this world. There was so much pre-firing going on there by the Vector, and Stakes, he just saw the bullets coming through. He just instantly flicked, removed, from all consideration the Goyo, and ultimately that small effect being had on the man advantage could have made a significant swing in that round. And though there was a valiant attempt made by both the Jaeger and Clash, ultimately it's that same old storyline we saw from Cafe. UGA, they take a round, and the KSU, they just fire on back with one more, and now only one round left. I would not have predicted this scoreline, especially considering we're on UGA's map pick. It's so important to put this in perspective. UGA, map 1, it's out the window. KSU's favor. Now, we're on to the second one, and they're falling so far behind. I don't know what needs to happen, but UGA, they've got to switch gears.
I think the main issue with UGA, and I'm not much of an analyst, I really feel like their defensive style, and this worked with their attack too, was that it's very complacent and very linear. There's not really much that they do that's really unique on their defending side, and I feel like KSU just takes full advantage of that. Sure, they make micro strategies, and they learn a little bit each round, but what they do learn just simply isn't enough to really change the course of most rounds. Right now, we do see KSU taking full control of small tower. Dining room is the bomb site again. The exothermic could be going to the bombs, landing some vertical plays for the site down below. Already going to be an instant pick coming down on the Manly Banana. That's going to be the Maestro gone. And already, I think that is the death certificate for UGA. Smack finds the second one, won't be going down, and yikes, you lost 2 of your anchors in the beginning of the round, less than 30 seconds in it. This round's already done.
I think we might have just saw Manly Banana die putting down an Evil Eye. Smack just pushed in immediately through side and caught everyone off guard, and Mango continues that same old trend, but Juan will swing it back, holding this angle over by the Showers Hall, but Smack on a triple kill. The Zofia cannot be stopped, and she will just continue a quad kill for the Sophia player. KSU, a 5-1 first half. There is no end for Kennesaw in sight.
What was that, a 4K?
Damn right it was.
Whew. Maybe he stole all of our caffeine. That's where it all went to. All into Smack. I mean, I guess you could say they got smacked. But
more puns.
Yeah, more puns. I mean, we're pretty punctilious around here. But when it comes down to it, I mean, 5-1, that's pretty much the same scoreline we had seen before on map number 1. We really thought we were going to see Coastline tonight, map number 3, the decider, but it looks like that may not be the case unless something miraculous comes out from UGA's favor. That's really all they can bank on right now, is that they have an excellent attacking spree. And I mean, flawless. They can't lose a single round. I think if they go to overtime, it's sealed. Not that it's not already sealed already, but going to overtime will make it even more sealed. Stakes, though, going away from the Oryx pick, which would have been interesting. I think Oregon is his best map.
Attackers
into the more traditional
need to locate and defuse
going to start round number 1 on the second half. Dining room yet again. I'm
Attackers
worried
need to
for
source the location of a
UGA.
bomb.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is the first time we'll see meeting chosen over dining. It was mainly UGA leading the charge in terms of this tertiary bomb site.
Attackers.
And I like the dynamic. You can call basically all the tertiary bomb sites on this map dining, and no one will really bat an eye, which is interesting, to say the least. But KSU, they've got a fantastic lead here, and it seems like we haven't really been given many opportunities to focus on standout players, aside from Smack, who you just put him in that position with Zofia, and he will get you so many results. But we saw this from UGA. They put a lot of focus on trying to defend the top floor, and it seems to be the same old mantra from KSU, who will place not only reinforcements, but also deployable shields and castle barricades. What is this? UGA are taking so much control, though, catching both you and I off guard as they push in and take sweeping control all throughout the west side of this map, and they might just catch all of these players off guard. Wanda Swan is in the middle of security, cutting down the smoke of X. They need to make a reaction quick here, and this vertical play, though, is stunting them just a bit. Juan, however, not letting off the gas at all, collecting his second kill and shutting down that oh-so-effective player of Smacks. And now, with 2 men down, KSU are looking not too hot, and this is almost the opposite of what we saw last round. Wanda Swan with his triple kill on the Maverick, really heating up, getting a kill of his own, and the diffuser will now begin. McCool forced into a position to get this clutch. And the castle, it really does not look possible. Ooh, maybe make an attempt. He gets 1 kill for the stats, but UGA, what an epic response.
Swarming in like a parasite. UGA finally won another round. They've won 2 now. I think of all the rounds they've won in this entire set, we could probably count on one hand. I think that will be our last finger, I believe, for all the total rounds. But already, yeah, you were right. Going in for the hyper-aggressive plays might be the move for KSU. Of course, KSU, I think, are a little bit better on the adapting game. Normally, you would see now a little bit more trap operators to bring and slow down what we just saw, but it looks like the answer to that's going to be no. We're not going to see dining and meeting at the very least, but I'm sorry, dining and tower at the very least, but we will be going to kids' dorms again. This will be a little bit more of a difficult site for the attackers to really swarm themselves over. It's going to be a much slower round this time if I had to predict it, but it's not too late. We can see a multifaceted attack from the big tower and master bedroom if UGA wants to play a much more predictable style, but I have a feeling KSU's prepared for it. So if we see another very quick attack, we could see another round going in UGA's favor.
And maybe that's the momentum boost that they need, taking an excellent win playing that tertiary first floor bomb site offense, and maybe winning this one as well, taking down one of the 2 primaries. If they can win this, it would be huge because UGA really struggled to string together rounds, period, in this series, but notably really dominant back-to-back ones. There's been, as I mentioned, kind of little inklings of dominance from them, but overall, KSU, they've got the consistency and coordination that has really given them the crown in these first 2 maps, and frankly, which could be our only 2 maps.
Very true. Something I want to take a note on really quick is that Manly Banana is not playing Blitz at all in the second map. He's going to go for the ace. I think he was ace last time around, but KSU already starting off very dominant with that Jaeger taking down Casanova. Losing on the Zofia that early on, definitely not the play, definitely not the situation you want to be in. But with everyone all huddled up in small tower and that Jaeger seemingly unchecked, you already know where Smack wants to go. Let's keep an eye on him really quick, but no. He's not going to go for the flank. Instead, he's going to remain on site nice and tidy while the other attackers go and do. Now, of course, your anchors are still alive. That really just being the smoke, but smoke canister already going down. One canister already going down. That's still with 2 minutes left. Reducing the transition, going away, it seems, from Ag towards master bedroom. And while Juan does get that opening kill onto Mango, what's that really going to mean for long? Sure, you can't bandage trick Addict anymore, but even then, you already have the wall open. You're just down a person, and you've already lost the Zofia. Of course, as I say, that's going to be across the map of Wham Bam. Thank you, man. Juan going down. I'm sorry, Juan taking down McCool. Mute going down next, and suddenly the defenders are going to be sweating a little bit more. They can't rotate as much, but Smack, of course, making me eat my own words, takes down Juan from a different part of the map.
McCool really tried his best there, swinging into the angle, but ultimately a nade met his end. Banana will shut down Shrieks, and so You're On My Dead will give them that advantage that they've been fighting for throughout this whole round. Looks like we'll see, I think that Selma's being deployed now onto the attic wall, so maybe they've got the opportunity to rotate and engage with X, the smoke player hiding out inside of Kid's bedroom. Smack really is not too adamant about giving this position up, and if they try to rotate here now into Pit, this could be a freebie, but great drone work will reveal that and remove it from the list of possibilities, forcing the Jaeger player to rotate back now deeper into the mid-site. Banana might be the first player in attempting this engagement, and given the fact he's got the AK-12, it's probably one of the operators I would choose to put in that position.
You know, it is a 2v3 right now, but you have Smack still alive, and honestly, anything could happen. Okay, now you have Smack, only one alive. Still, anything could happen. It's a 1v3. Things are not looking good on Smack's end, but he's still alive.
Attackers are activating the bomb diffuser.
And with the timer going down, never mind, going from 13 to 44, the bomb diffuser gone down, and so is his life. It's be UGA winning 2 rounds in a row. I believe this is certainly the only time on map number 2 where we have seen UGA win 2 in a row, but I believe, and this might be either the first or second time where UGA have been able to, yeah, first time where they've been winning 2 in a row. Yeah.
this is what I mentioned as being necessary for a potential UGA comeback, ignoring the obvious possibility that you need rounds in order to win.
Oh.
But okay.
Now you
Something
tell me.
is going on here. Yes. But it also gives you that also needed momentum. UGA, they haven't had some of the strange earlier attacking struggles we saw from Cafe. In that last round, I'd like to specifically mention the fact that Ace decided to play that really far back inside pit, gave him the perfect opportunity. Once he saw the silhouette of the smoke, himself swinging through his own gas, it was just a free opportunity to take him out, and ultimately
Defenders,
that
protect your
put
bombs from
Smack
being
in that
defused by
unwinnable
attackers.
position, forced back, tucked into a corner, and despite the fact he's got an awesome 2.0 KD, 12 frags so far in this 9-round match, it ultimately was not enough to guarantee himself that 1-3 win.
It definitely wasn't enough, and when you're pushed into such a horrible situation as Smack was, it's pretty much a guaranteed loss there. Of course, we've seen some interesting comebacks before, but it wasn't today. Now, I do want to keep an eye on Manly Banana for a second. Last map on the attack, he played nothing but blitz, and it didn't work out for him. He got maybe 1 or 2 kills, at the very least 1. But now, in this entire game, we're seeing him
5
go
seconds to
6
go.
and 6. And now he did play Clash for 1 round and did get 2 kills on that.
Attackers'
But
objective is to
rocking
locate
the
a bomb and
AK-12
defuse
on
it.
the Ace might be a better play. He's done such a good job. He's staying alive at the end of rounds. That is exactly what you want to see. So maybe, just maybe, having the Monty band, maybe not going for the blitz, would be more beneficial to go on the Ace instead. Now, we are going back to the kids again, and we did see this be a dominant performance from UGA, but they have to recreate that performance right now. KSU is good at adapting. We're not seeing as many aggressive plays like Smack was before, but keep in mind, Smack was also the last one alive. Maybe having that aggressive performance would be beneficial in the very end.
I would critique maybe a little bit of the way we saw UGA perform in that early opening situation last round. It was basically Casanova trying to kind of come in on his lonesome from the west side of the map, and Smack just had the right position at the right time to take him out. And ultimately, sometimes maybe that will be what you need for KSU, but the opening pick in that last round really was of little consequence, and I think despite that, UGA were simply able to recuperate from their losses. We need to see it again, however, and we need to see KSU come out with that strong adaptation, as you mentioned, being one of their key strong points. Juan is pushing up incredibly aggressive, and Manly Banana balling out on that AK-12, as you mentioned in the early round, removing Smack from that equation, and he won't be sticking around too long in number 9 here. This is a great beginning for UGA, and they might look to find their 3rd round in a row, just so long as we don't see them get too over-aggressive.
Over-aggressive is the name of the game right now, but it looks like no, instead of being over-aggressive, the shotgun finding Casanova drowning in their own blood inside of a small little closet. Mango stringing together yet another one, finding Juan as well. Maybe Caster's Curse coming well underway as I am throwing some bullets right at them. It's going to be not a great look for the health bars of UGA's side as we're going to the last minute of potentially this round. And it's a 3v3. Things were looking good for UGA in the beginning, but another
Bomb
shotgun.
located
You
by
don't learn your
attackers.
lesson, do you, UGA? Looks like they do, but too little, too late. I am throwing now barely with an inch of health left in a 1v1 situation. Circling around right now, trying to find any bodies with these pre-fires. It's going to be the R4C, going to be the R4Z, ZZ, as that Ash lays dead on the ground, as Extran finds that final kill. Yet again, another shotgun kill. I believe that's going to be 3 for shotguns in that last round. And map point now for KSU, and potentially the set point for KSU versus UGA. And it looks like we did have Juan leave. He was just so mad about that shotgun getting him.
You got to give credit to the shotgun players in that round, really keeping the hopes alive from KSU, put in a tough spot there on radio just inside of games, ultimately staying cool and running that smoke like an absolute god. There was nothing stopping him in that position, and not only did he get the first over-aggressing player trying to push into walk-in, he also got the second, and then spinning around, dealt quite a bit of damage to Ash on the 3rd, putting her in that hairpin situation where there was only so much of her to stick around, and ultimately it was X. A great quick peek by him to close that one out for KSU, and as you mentioned, match point, 6-3. We've been here before, and we saw how Kennesaw took it.
Well, at the very least, UGA, like we said before, have won more rounds in the entire set of TSM versus Tempo Storm than Tempo Storm won by what, 6 times the amount? So, kudos to them. At least it's something. But overall, we have been in the same exact situation before, Stick, where they just cannot bring it home. They had these moments of brilliance, like you mentioned, where they just go in for these plays, and it seems like everything's all crystal clear in their minds about what they want to do going forwards. But then either the round right after, they don't do the same exact maneuver again, or they recreate it 1-to-1 and act like KSU are bots and don't think they're going to go around and figure out what's going on. Of course, KSU is going to adapt around the play style round after round when they do lose. And that's exactly what we've been seeing, especially that last round is a great inclination of it.
So far, Kennesaw have looked dominant sometimes and came up short in a few other rounds. University of Georgia, I'm honestly kind of rooting for them a little bit in this comeback here. I want to see us go to Coastline, mostly because of what that would mean for this series, and I want to see how that very frag-oriented map would play out for Kennesaw, but it doesn't really matter what way the map is oriented, which side is favored, because Kennesaw, they have completely defied the odds and the traditions. Everything that you would consider customary to Siege competitive has been really a non starter. And ultimately, Kennesaw now stand only one round victory away from taking this series and sweeping it 2-0.
Very true. Now, let me just do some quick math here. Hold on. I have my old man phone out. Let's see. I'm going to carry the 5 really quick. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Well, I mean, we're going to rehost anyways. You have to wait. Uh-huh, uh-huh. So, my analysis says that Kensaw has 178 years younger than the University of Georgia, which means, hey, looks like Georgia might need to go into a senior home now that the young Gunners are here to make their stay. Of course, it's a ripple effect going through Kennesaw, kind of like Kansan or Iconic or even NJR. Many in the Pro League of North America are able to run and gun their way through and really show older teams or older colleges in this case really what's up and how maybe going for these more aggressive plays and clicking on these heads are what the new Rainbow Six is like. Kennesaw has been able to string those rounds together and, more importantly, a lot of the times string those kills together, especially with Smack. Oh my god.
Where are we going with this diatribe, Keg? Because I'm completely lost.
Well, Smack is great. He is being fed oats and brain serum every single day. He has been able to string those rounds together, and no matter how tactical you want to get on Georgia's side, they're just not able to land those ending round maneuvers. They can push all they want, they can break open as many reinforcements as they want, but if they're going to keep losing those gunfights, it's already dead in the water.
So, what do you think about possibilities for this last round? Because I believe, taking a look back at my notes, we will have dorms locked off, but basement, which has not been played at all by KSU thus far, is completely open territory. And considering KSU could come out here, bring this new bomb site, and maybe just bring out a strategy that's so shocking that it doesn't give UGA any chance to adapt, any chance to maybe have a couple mistakes and learn from them? No, you don't have that opportunity. And I want to get your thoughts on where you think we'll be going.
I think we're going to go dining in kitchen. I don't think we're gonna go meeting. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't think we're gonna go meeting, but we're still gonna have kitchen. My reasoning for that is I think that KSU will heavily benefit from having the lower floor, basement to play with, and they can also benefit from having the vertical floor and have that vertical defense. It's gonna leave UGA with a lot of options, but that's kind of the thing with UGA too, is that they go for a very linear route, and they'll be ultimately almost paralyzed with the amount of options they have. So I could easily see Smack either playing in basement or even rotating all the way to the top floor and having the double vertical control going on, especially from above going below. And I think it'll be just such a rough area for UGA to attack that it'll just be dead in the water. But we'll have to wait and see. There are a lot of options for both sides to really succeed in these upcoming rounds, but really, I think we're going to see a middle floor defense.
Well, I would say we've seen UGA be, frankly, quite dominant attacking the middle floor when they have that opportunity to kind of rush in, take a lot of really systematic first floor control. That's when we saw them have so much success. And you'll remember what happened when they defended meeting. It was really just KSU being completely unprepared and UGA rushing, fragging out of their minds.
Well, that's
Maybe
why
we'll
I
see
said that
something.
KSU. Not meeting. The other site, the other dining site. I think that's gonna
Okay.
put a lot more pressure on UGA. Sure, they
It
can rush.
is. It
Sure,
is
they
a bit
can rush.
easier.
They
They
very well
could.
could. But I think KSU is really good at adapting too. But here we go. Let's see who's gonna be right, Team Keg or Team Sticula. Only one can come out on top, or maybe neither of us, I suppose. But what is KSU gonna choose for potentially the final bomb site of this set? Oh, damn it!
Basement. Okay, so we've got that bottom floor. I'm trying to figure out another way to say basement. Below the earth, subterranean, some kind of way. It's down there, down low.
Underground.
We have. Okay, so KSU will bring a bit of a change from what we saw UGA running. No Clash present this time, but they still got the Goya, Wamai, Jaeger, three very archetypal operators you would see here commonly for the basement hold, and it's almost impossible to hold it without those. I wanted to bring up this point. I want to see a new feature implemented for smokes where you can kind of quell the Goyo Vulcan fire, similar to how it works in CSGO with Molotovs,
Oh.
so that you could basically toss a smoke in once you detonate that shield and then rush, and
Attackers
maybe
need to
have a
locate and
slight little opportunity to get in through the rotation wall on elbow, but I'm dreaming over here.
Well, at the very least, we can ADS. That's all. I got.
Okay.
That's my comparison to CSGO. Sure, they have some cool things like Molotovs and skills being put together, but I mean, when it comes down to it, at least we can ADS our weapons.
Maybe there'll be some ADSs going on in this round in terms of both shooting your weapons, which is KSU's strong point, probably, should be any team's strong point, but also in terms of removing those projectiles. As you'll remember, it was really KSU coming out of the foray with decisions like bringing that Ying to waste all the ADSs. Not so much for UGA. They're focusing on bringing more kind of soft breaching operators as well as the flank watch of Nomad, which could be mixed. It wasn't really any team deciding to bring her on Cathay, which is incredibly odd considering how much play you see from those staircases. And Wanda Swan really trying to cut things off early, pushing down the main staircase. I almost thought that position just completely flipped my brain around to thinking we were defending the top floor for whatever reason. But a lot of middle floor control here and a great opening pick. UGA will shut down stakes. Your Jaeger dead. That's a great starter here for them.
It looks like Mango completely aware that this hatch is going to be opened up. I wonder why. You know, Maverick doesn't give too many indicators on the noise and destruction. But he is prepped for the C4. Of course, the vertical play and horizontal plays could be in full effect going against him as well. Casanova could be taking a lot of damage. So until then he goes down. Smack does find him. But it's going to be the Bandit in a very bad position still. But Smack is able to find Iron Throwing as well. Doing a really good job, all things considered. But Mango looks like he did get away from the freezer area. Suddenly UGA is in a bit of a standstill once again. They had a strong opening, but now that they have some control over the site right next to the bomb, they're not able to make that final push. In fact, they're a little separated right now. They have options to move around, but no one on the defending side is moving into their crosshairs. Then again, of course, as I say that,
Why?
Smack does go into that crosshair.
Increasing
Not
our
really sure
defenses.
why Smack did that, but
Perimeter.
Wolfie was there to catch him out right in his prime, bring it down to a 3v3 as we're transversing to the ending minute of the round.
Attackers drop the diffuser.
Honestly, I have to disagree with that
Attackers
decision there.
recover
When
the
a
bomb
great
diffuser.
shot by Mango, though, will reclaim KSU's standing a little bit, and now they're still in the lead as far as man advantage. The big thing to look at here, a minute on the clock, and the last two attackers are split up, but Wolfie continues to make a strong advocation for his team and shutting down the player, I believe, holding just near the storage hallway. There's still the Wamai to worry about an MJ, but he's actually the last player left, and what a shot by Juan! Oh my word on the Maverick, getting both the player tucked in the corner as well as close on that box, and UGA, they're not done just yet.
UGA pulling a huge surprise for everybody by not only winning that round, but also winning it by a fairly good margin throughout the majority of that round. Sure, it was even sometimes, but for the most part, it seems like they had that map control, and while there was some struggle, Wolfie came in clutch that round by finding not only Smack, but also finding another operator. Don't remember who it was, I think it was X, and just really catching them off guard. It makes me wonder a little bit what the comms were like on KSU's end towards the end of that round, because two very predictable spots from the last two of UGA's side
Attackers
easily
need
could
to
have been
locate and
refragged, but
defuse as many
no.
bombs as they can.
Simply no, they were not, and UGA took advantage of that. Now, only being 2 rounds away from potentially switching to overtime on Oregon, there is yet again hope that we could see map 3, but again, mountain to climb, and while UGA is slowly making their way up to the first and second plateaus, they still need to reach the peak, and that is going to be 2 rounds from now if they can do it. Again, though, KSU returning yet again to the basement, and this has been one of the few sites they've been really shaky on. But they're going to try it again, see if second time's
10
the
seconds
charm.
left
A
before
very
insertion.
similar structure to what UGA themselves brought out on their defense.
5 seconds left
Okay.
before insertion.
Counterpoint to KSU's shakiness is the fact that historically in this series we've seen KSU attempt a defense, it fail, return to that same bomb site, and have a bit more success. An aggressive peek here by Stakes, and he gets punished for it, shut down immediately. I have no idea why he just attempted that, completely selling for his team, and you didn't even really need that barricade at all, and so he'll die early, and wow, both of those Vulcans are detonated. Where were the ADSs? Because they had little to no effect, and now this position here on Elbow is so dangerous. If this doesn't get reinforced, this is a round done, dead, and over for KSU.
It's a tough position for all the defenders suddenly to be in. Sure, there's only 1 member down compared to the 5 on UGA, so fully healthy, but slowly, as the round goes on, they're losing ground, and UGA is gaining ground. It's gonna be on blue
Attackers
stairs
have
now,
located a bomb.
holding the angles, and KSU are just maintaining their current course. Not a lot to really say at the moment. Everyone on KSU side holding those angles, but again, not really working to their benefit. Of course, that's gonna be a double kill coming out from UGA side. Suddenly, what was 4 and 5, now 2 and 5. The last 2 alive are trying to hold their angles to the best of their ability. Smack having a very nice, huge soft breach angle going almost across the entirety of the floor. And Mango, not having as great of an angle, needs to go for the quick peek, but instead that's going to leave both bomb sites almost completely free rent for the attacking team. Mango does find Juan, however, but still the agency going for the attackers is completely in their favor. He's going to try to go for a second quick peek, unfortunately not going to work out. Casanova able to find Mango, but Smack is able to get one return. A 1v3 now. Again, if Smack can get all 3 down and or get that diffuser, that will be map point there. Going home with a 2-0. But it looks like right now this could go into a very close endeavor onto Oregon. He's transversing his way around, and the timer is slowly ticking down.
Defenders
As he
have eyes
rotates,
on the
he's looking for the
diffuser.
next body,
Attackers
but
need to protect
suddenly,
it.
all the UGA members are completely hidden. They're disappeared from sight, like a shadow, but unfortunately, like a shadow, sometimes they get blinded by light. Smack able to find Wolfie, but now there's only 2 left, and with 10 seconds, it's becoming too little too late. Sure, the 7-second margin has gone by. Officially, UGA has won this round, but he brought it back to a 1v1. And while Banana was able to get that final kill on the Smack, taking down that rogue vigilante, able to take down the majority of his other teammates, Manly Banana secures that kill and is able to stall out enough to make sure that the fuse was no longer possible. But KSU now 6 and 5, only 1 round away. Sticula, this is the most important round in the entire set.
Match point and series point are left on the table here for KSU, and the possibility of a comeback win, a reverse sweep, still remains on the board for the University of Georgia. And I have to call it out because it's exactly like I see it. In round number 10, it was a questionable decision to sprint out into the open area next to the bottom main staircase. No idea why Smack tried that. It completely was shut down. And ultimately, maybe it was more KSU after that, or maybe that decision in and of itself caused their loss in that round. It happened again, another odd decision. This time it was Stakes attempting a late round barricade after a very aggressive attempt at a run out through from bunker door. Twice now, it's these very critical mistakes. hurting KSU, and we need to see them not make those same mistakes. They need to get a real lid on these now before they snowball into a possibility for UGA to come back and win
10
this.
seconds to go.
KSU has only won one round on their defense this
5
entire
seconds left
half.
before
The
insertion.
only time they have won it is kids, and yikes, I mean, try a
Attackers are
different
heading
site,
out to
man,
defuse
because
a
you've
bomb.
lost laundry twice in a row now. I'm a little scared for KSU, I'm not gonna lie to you. Seems like so far their selection hasn't changed. What they're doing hasn't changed either. Only major difference now is that Stakes isn't going for a grand peak in the beginning and getting shut down.
It seems that it's really quick here from UGA. They're wasting no time in clearing both of these Vulcans, but lucky for them, they will get that reinforcement down, which is the linchpin in this game. And Wandiswan now, he hears the sound call from that, pushes up, losing no time in clearing what's left of the elbow utility, and those ADSs removed. And now he will begin the process of opening up the E-box wall with his Surrey torch there, struggling a bit. He's got a little pillar there in the wall to deal with, but this is the opportunity. Launch in a nade and remove those batteries so you can bring in the big guns. Get the Ace and his Selmas to open up what's left of that wall. Is somebody trying to actively peek these Maverick holes? Really worried about what I'm seeing here. This is completely unnecessary. Oh, it did! You're exactly right. Into the kill onto the Maverick, so your heart breach, at least part of it now gone. And if he had any frag grenades left, those too. But Mango building onto it. A kill for the bandit, throwing is down. And now we're seeing kind of a trend towards the opposite. You said it was risky for them to go to basement, and it seems all the risk so far is on the side of UGA.
Lessons have been learned right now. Stakes playing a very sneaky game right now, hiding in the corner. That last round didn't work too well for other people like that Smoke. But he's playing cautiously. He's waiting for anybody to push up. They know exactly that someone's around that corner, but no, the Zophia's gonna go for it. Casanova finding the headshot on the Stakes. Not able to clutch out the double kill. It's gonna be Mango who does a double kill of his own, reviving the downed Nomad. It's gonna be a 2v3 now in UGA. Blood smeared all over the stairs. They take another step. Realistically, they would slip and fall and die on their own, but no, instead, this is Siege. One holding inside Freezer, two others on the bomb sites. 50 seconds left, and a dream to keep this game going.
By attackers.
Mango has been able to get some fantastic kills, holding out on this quick peek angle, but right now he's playing the slower quick peek game. Fighting out on pillars, it's going to be a bit of a what do we do on UGA's side. The Ace goes around, he's going to look for that tarp wall again, see if the Selmas can finally open it up, but no, I think he's out of them. He's going to peek the holes and see if anyone has made a mistake by not looking at it. But no, X looking around to see if he can find that hole as well. But 20 seconds are now left on that clock, and that just not gotten any closer to the bomb site. One Selma going to be on board, immediately looking for that smoke. But the smoke, peekaboo! I see you. Fine family banana. And now will be the last one alive to keep UGA in the game for this set tonight. But not by much. It's Team McCool that finds Wolfie at the very end, and KSU winning 2 maps in a row against UGA. And I mean, you gotta give it to UGA, Sticula. They brought it back almost quite a bit in Oregon, but unfortunately just not enough.
ASU, it only took them 3 times, but they're finally able to win that basement defense, and with it, the series, the map, and everything in our play day for this evening. 7-5 and a 2-0. KSU, they came in, they shocked the odds, and they really proved to me personally that they're a great team, and I'm looking forward to see them develop further. Really great stuff from them. What are your closing thoughts on that second map? Because I'd really like to hear you break it down.
When it came down to KSU going for the defensive side, sure, they struggled, but they got the rounds that mattered the most. I think UGA are a much stronger attacking team, especially when there is no blitz in play, and I'm not sure if that's normally what they would go for on Cafe, or if they just wanted to see if the shield would work, and they realized, hey, shield's not going to work on Oregon. I do think I do think UGA was held back quite a bit by the Monty ban. I'm really curious to see what would have happened overall if that Monty was never banned. But overall, KSU was such a solid team. They got the refrags where it mattered, and they played much more patiently, even on the defensive side than UGA did. And when they were aggressive, they were able to be aggressive where it counted. Now, there were some aggressiveness that didn't work out quite too well towards the end, like Stakes, and that cost them quite a few rounds. But when they realized their lesson, when they got their head back in the game, KSU was the much more dominant team.
It's funny that you bring up the plan for KSU banning Monty, because this is exactly the question that I asked Manly Banana. I said verbatim, "What's your plan if KSU ban Monty?" And he says, "I mean, we do not need to bring him. We just can if we see something. Since we have Cafe in Oregon tonight, Monty and Blitz are pretty good at clearing anchor positions like the corner and piano and blue in Oregon basement." But it didn't
Hmm.
seem like that was exactly all the way true, because without the Monty, a lot of rounds came down to UGA having trouble with the tempo of taking control of the map itself, frankly. I mean, in some rounds they were way too fast and then way too slow and then way too fast again. It was like speeding up and slowing down a record player. They had no idea really what was going down in some rounds, and I give it to them. I mean, they made a great attempt for Oregon, winning 5 rounds, much closer than Cafe, but ultimately troubles with the tempo caused them to lose, and because they were not able to take really anything for their defenses, it was just honestly a nail in the coffin. And after that, such a great lead, there wasn't much that Kennesaw had to do afterwards.
I would love to see UGA kind of make themselves a little bit more formidable in the future, really hunker down on what their issues were against KSU this game. And I honestly think their errors are easily correctable. KSU, on the other hand, they should definitely VOD review this because they did such a good job. And if they can learn their lessons from this game as well, then they're just going to be an even better team going forwards. And I could honestly see them as a collegiate team being one of the best collegiate teams possibly in the entire North American region, but they got to hunker down and make sure it works out.
I think there's definitely a lot of lessons to be learned from this game. One of them is that I shouldn't doubt teams that I haven't seen play before. Another one being that UGA needs some more work on controlling the tempo, and that KSU need to learn when their mistakes are costing them. And ultimately, I think this game provides them plenty of opportunities to look back, correct some of those mistakes, and become better opponents moving forward. That's all that we've got for us tonight because there is no interview. So, unfortunately, this is the end of the road for us, Keg. It's been a
Uh,
wonderful game casting. I've been Sticula, joined by the wonderful Keglanek, and of course, our observer, Tango Mango Down, and our producer, CDC. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good rest of your evening.